to getting you the medications you need without the runaround. When everyone around you is sick and you know you have to be prepared, or when you don't want to wait in line for maintenance meds, you absolutely need All Family Pharmacy. They've got antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, ivermectin. Order online at allfamilypharmacy.com/bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. On this Monday, President Trump's primary hobby is not golf or designing giant ballrooms. No, his passion these days is bear baiting those who despise him, keeping them in a deep state of agitation. The dastardly King Henry VIII championed the bear pit. Throughout Europe in the 16th to 19th centuries, bears would be chained up and dogs let loose to bite them, enraging the bears. Great fun for Henry in between killing his wives. Modern day bear baiting is also designed to enrage. The president well understands the media will hysterically report every provocative thing he says. The press will wail and gnash their teeth. Deep frowns on television, abundant shakes of the head. This is amusing to the president. Meantime, nothing is really accomplished by the media. Mr. Trump keeps poking it with things like Canada will be the 51st state, D-Day will take place in Greenland, and both of those things aren't going to happen. Meantime, the press keeps trying to kick Mr. Trump's football while it's snatched away at the last moment. This is actually amusing if you understand what's happening, but not to the nation's media. Back in a moment. Bill O'Reilly here. If you are stuck in a timeshare you no longer want, my friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking an increase in cloud cover as the day continues on. Temperatures back towards the lower 60s this afternoon, looking pretty warm. Then towards the evening hours, we're going to be looking at the possibility of a few light scattered showers. That could turn into some flurries into Wednesday. Mostly cloudy. Temperatures will continue to drop. We're talking afternoon highs into Wednesday afternoon, back towards the mid-30s. Continue to fall off. We'll look cooler as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Friday could see some light chances of flurries. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scott.
We know it's early. Mike's not totally awake yet either. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
Top of the morning to you. Appreciate you making NewsTalkSTL part of the day. Okay, here's what's coming up just a little bit later on today. We talked to State Representative Ben Keithley on Monday's show, and we're going to give you a second look or a second listen to that here in just a couple of minutes in case you missed it. Also today, later on, State Representative Tricia Byrnes. Now, she's actually running for collector in St. Charles County, and they have had a mess as far as being able to get your assessment, pay online, all of that sort of thing, especially if you're a senior. So this is actually becoming a pretty spicy race, and you wouldn't think that's normally the case for something like collector, but sounds like there's a mess that needs to be cleaned up. So we're going to talk to her a little bit later on today as well. And of course, coming up here in just a little bit, we've got the St. Louis monkey update for you since we have rogue monkeys around St. Louis apparently. But anyway, the Missouri legislature now back into full swing. A lot of the lawmakers got back at the Capitol yesterday and began some of their preliminary work. They're going to be really digging into stuff a little bit more today and tomorrow. And we spoke with State Representative Ben Keithley about that. Of course, he's a member of the Freedom Caucus. And here's how he assessed the priorities and what's likely to happen over the next 4.5 to 5 months. When you look ahead to this next session, one of the themes, really two of the themes that we heard when talking to members of the House and members of the Senate, talking to the governor, is that there seems to be a pressure on conservatives in particular, get stuff done, deliver some more conservative wins now that, a lot of them know that you can do it from the 2025 wins, really make some big leaps, tax cuts or elimination, regulatory stuff. What's the vibe in the Republican caucus right now as far as those kind of big conservative, big red things that conservatives want to see done?
Well, I think we're ready to do big things. We had a year last year where big conservative things were done, delivering the 7-1 map. IP reform was the big one. And this year, obviously, a big talk around tax reform. We
don't want to hear, oh, gosh darn it, the time ran out at the end of the session in May. We want to see it happen. And we've got Representative Keithley back. You were just talking about the income tax. What's a good reform? I mean, there can be cuts, which can be fairly immediate. The governor is going to announce his details of his plan tomorrow at his State of the State address here. But what would you like to see done?
On the income tax, I think we do need to move to an elimination. Other states are going to. And whoever gets there fast is going to reap the most benefit of economic growth as people target our region, our area. We don't want to see those jobs and businesses move to states like Nebraska or Oklahoma or Tennessee, who already has no income tax. More and more states around us are moving to eliminate us. We need to be one of the leaders on it. But there's other tax reform that can't come at the expense completely of not doing anything about property tax, especially personal property tax. People have been asking for a long time for eliminating an unjust personal property tax system, and our real property tax system needs major reform too.
What can we do about that? I mean, it's been pointed out that most of those property taxes are all at the local level. So what is it the state can do? I personally think property taxes are maybe the most immoral tax that we have. And believe me, they're maybe one of the top two. But what is it that the state government's lane would be in that? And then, of course, you're going to have all the arguments from your school districts and library boards and things like that are saying, you're cutting our funding when really what they want is just a big raise every year.
Well, the state has tried to play a role before. You have the Hancock Amendment, which requires that we have actual input from the voters before we ever raise taxes. But after 40 years, there have been loopholes carved out. There have been litigation victories for local governments, and there are caps that go ignored. And there are elections with, special elections and April elections with 5 and 10% turnout that raise taxes on everybody. There's a lot of procedural stuff. We need to respect the caps under Hancock. We need to have elections where we have actual meaningful input from voters, not special elections that are hidden, essentially backdoor tax hike elections. There's a lot of procedural stuff we can do to get a better grasp on the tax rates and slow down everyone's massive tax bills increases.
Yeah, I spoke with one of the members of the St. Louis County Council a few weeks ago, and he was talking about their economic woes because of all the overspending. He said, under the law, there's a little bit of room. We actually could raise the property taxes just a little bit, a few dollars per household without a vote. And he wasn't saying that they were going to do that, but I was shocked to hear that they could do that, and that was even allowed in any way, shape, or form.
Well, in Town and Country, what was it last year? They put in a brand new property tax without going to a vote of the people. They justified some vote that was taken back in the early 90s and said, well, they approved it back then, and we're just choosing to wait till now to implement it. Tricks like that, tactics like that, people don't even realize that Hancock has a provision that requires that your property tax bill can't go up more than CPI, capped at 5% every year. But everyone knows their property taxes are going up more than that. There's a lot of procedural stuff that they use to loophole around that. We need to tighten all that up. We need to fix all of that and get back to real property tax caps and protections for the voters.
We spoke with State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick, who's kind of put out a clarion call saying, if spending isn't reined in, and he told us that doesn't mean just limiting the growth. That means actual cuts, fewer dollars this year as opposed to last year or the year before. He thinks that there is possibly a severe, crisis coming to the state government. The government's fine right now as far as what's in the reserves, but he says it's unsustainable the direction that's going. In an election year, is it possible the legislature would have the guts to actually cut spending and spend less money? Because that means reducing the reach and the scope of government.
Well, I think we should have the guts, certainly. I don't think it's I take a little bit different of an opinion of this. I don't think it is politically unpopular to have responsible spending. We cut spending back in 2023 when we did the budget. There was no decrease in services or cuts to any programs that were felt by taxpayers in any way. There's a lot of places where we can get a better handle on our expenses. There's always room to go. We've seen a huge balloon to the budget over the last several years. It's time that we start tracking those and getting back to what we need to do in the essentials. I think limited government is popular. It's certainly popular with Missourians. And if we deliver that, the voters will actually appreciate those cuts.
We're visiting with State Representative Ben Keithley. And Ben, of course, obviously a lot of news that's going on in Minnesota and all the fraud, but those are federal social programs in the federal program right there. I don't sense that Missouri has that level of problem, or we have any reason to believe that. I'm sure we're much better run than that. But is there a case to be made for we should look at all of these programs just to see if there is any waste or fraud happening here as part of that discussion to reduce spending and as part of that discussion to justify tax cuts?
Well, we should always be looking at all of that. I think we owe it to the taxpayers as stewards of their dollars. This is not, government doesn't have its own money. Government only has the taxpayers' money. And whether you believe it's happening or not, complacency can't sleep in. You need to be constantly monitoring these programs. One area where Missouri could improve, and where we don't even know, what kind of fraud could be out there, is we do not have a lot of the same safeguards on Medicaid spending that other states do. Things like double billing, whether someone is on a Medicaid payroll submitting it from another state. We don't check things like that. There are things we can do, and Medicaid is a huge part of the spend of the overall budget. Missouri, we hope we certainly don't have anything like the Somali daycare fraud, but that doesn't just happen because you say it doesn't happen. You need to actually be checking it and always be checking it.
Yeah. Now, as you head into the actual work that's going to get underway, probably you'll arrive back, tomorrow at the Capitol?
Today.
Okay.
There'll be committee meetings and floor action today, whether there's nothing out of committee. So it'll be light today again, and later this week we'll see it start picking up.
Okay. Is there going to be an effort to front load the really big stuff like, tax cuts or elimination early on? Because that's been the frustration in years past, although we saw some reason to be hopeful with some momentum last year, that some of the big stuff got kind of socked back later, and then you ran into that constitutional deadline, and then basically a lot of Republicans went, well, we tried, but gosh darn it, the time ran out on it, the clock ran out. That kind of shows the importance of putting the big stuff up front. What's the strategy that leadership is looking at right now to address these biggest issues?
Well, I think it's a tale of two different chambers, like it always is. I think in the House you'll see things, especially the priorities. You'll know what's important when it starts moving in the House really quickly. The House tends to move things better, especially the big caucus priorities. The Senate is always a different story. There's real political challenges to maneuvering that body. It is a body that is built. The rules are built on deliberation and slow action, and making sure that legislation is carefully thought out. There's political reasons why you can't do things right away, especially if it requires calling a previous question and sitting anyone down on a filibuster. You can risk shutting the chamber down. So I expect to see quick action on a lot of these big conservative priority actions early in session on the House side. The Senate side, there's a lot of stories that'll be left to unfold between now and the end of session.
And what's on top of your to-do list this year, Ben?
Well, tax reform is obviously the big one. I think that's a top priority for hopefully most Republicans. It really should be for almost all members of the General Assembly. The other big one is regulatory reform. I filed the REINS Act for the third year in a row. That had bipartisan support last year in committee, and was the most heavily co-sponsored bill. Provides a lot needed oversight and reform to how we do regulatory rules. A lot of our laws that we're living under are put in place not by our elected officials, but unelected faceless bureaucrats who drown us in paperwork and red tape. We need to start getting rid of that and shrinking government at that end too.
All right, Ben.
So that'll be another big area I'm working on.
All right, Ben, we've already tagged you on social media. What's your website? People want to follow, stay in touch with you, follow what you're doing, or if they've got questions.
BenKeithley.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at BenKeith.
Okay, still ahead, we have your St. Louis monkey update, loose rogue monkey update here in just a little bit. And then, of course, you want to be involved in the program. Don't forget, we're all over social media live streaming, and you can do it the old-fashioned way. Give me a call at 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion.
Good evening, America. 11 months ago, I inherited a mess.
Donald Trump was elected to fix the economy.
We have reversed the direction of this country dramatically.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Make your holiday special with Anthony's Produce, serving our community for over 28 years. Order fresh fruit and vegetable trays for work parties, family gatherings, and celebrations. Send chocolate-covered strawberries or a stunning fruit bouquet to someone you love. Plus, get seasoned firewood for pickup or delivery to keep your home cozy all winter long. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Order online at anthonysproduce.com or call 636-936-0496 on Jungerman Road in St. Peters.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, when pests invade your home, you need someone you can trust. It's Jamie Allman here, and at Buckingham Pest Control, they're not just your exterminators. They're your neighbors and friends. A locally owned family business and St. Louis Magazine A-List award winner, providing affordable, quality pest control. Plus, they offer energy-efficient TAP attic insulation, the only insulation that controls pests. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At U.S. Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With U.S. Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
U.S. Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With U.S. Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose U.S. Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. U.S. Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, think about your tax bill. Okay, what you got to turn in on April 15th, and you have the guy fill it all out, or you go online and do it yourself. Have you ever had those years where you find out that you have to cut a check and you have to pay something?
Yep.
Okay, so that happens pretty often in my household because there's so much, contract work and 1099 work and things like that. So that's not unusual on this. Now think of 10% of that check, whatever that is, 10% of that just going directly to scammers and grifters. Your money, just 10% of it going to scammers and grifters.
Doesn't it all go to the government?
Well, yeah, that's true. Fair point. That's a fair point. But this is what your money is. Let's see here, $5.50 right now. Looking at this article on Newsmax, And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent did an interview with Chris Rufo on Sunday. Now, I missed the interview. I do like a lot of Chris Rufo's work. Scott Bessent, I think, could probably use some education in basic economics from time to time. But when it comes to just looking at the money and look at some of the stuff, I think he's got a lot of stuff. He's unfortunately on the wrong side, I think, of some very bad economic policies, but he gets a lot of stuff right too. But in this interview with Rufo, that, like I said, was posted on Sunday, Bessent said $300 billion to $600 billion a year, according to the Government Accountability Office, is fraud losses.
Wow.
$300 billion to $600 billion a year is lost of federal funds to fraud. That is about 10% of the federal budget.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, 1 to 2% of the gross domestic product of the United States. 10% of the federal budget handed away to scammers and grifters, and let's be honest, in many cases, knowingly so. There is no, right now Minnesota is in the spotlight for this, and a little bit later on we'll talk about Minnesota officials are now filing a lawsuit saying, you're targeting us, and this isn't fair. You're not doing this to other states. Well, they're not as egregious in other states, but we have a feeling that it probably is as egregious in some other states. There's no possible way that those tens or maybe hundreds of millions of dollars that have been handed over to grifters and scammers, there's no possible way that nobody up and down the line knew about it.
Yeah.
It's impossible. There's no way.
Well, unless they are giving out the money and then they're not following up and checking to make sure that it's actually being used appropriately.
See, I would argue there's no possible way on this scale that somebody does not know. The bureaucrat does not know, it's not really a daycare, but whatever, just check the box, I'm getting paid to do this. Or that the state officials who are administering it, we know that whistleblowers were told to shut up, according to testimony at the federal government. Somebody was aware on this massive of a scale that the money was being defrauded. The people were being defrauded of the money.
And this is not, just to be clear, this is not an instance where it might be a really silly or stupid grant that somebody applied for. It's not that somebody maybe inflated a little bit more than what the cost of something was.
We're not talking about there was a grant at the university to study shrimp on treadmills or something like that.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about. Somebody creating some paperwork, entering a program, receiving payment for something that does not or did not exist. We're talking about absolute fraud. We're talking about the multiple Social Security numbers being used in, health care, like Congressman Bob Onder told us yesterday. So $300 billion with a B to $600 billion a year. 10% of everything you pay. Look at your last paycheck stub. I actually had Michelle print up my last couple paycheck stubs because I was doing some financial changes for the new year. And it shows how much, and we just got our tax things. Look at how much money I paid in federal taxes and state taxes and all that kind of stuff. 10% of that to the feds was taken from you and given to somebody around this country who was defrauding and just stealing. So 10% of your money outright stolen. Now, hey, the libertarian in me says, taxation is theft, but I'm not going down that rabbit hole right now. But 10%, according to the Treasury Secretary, is directly going to, well, not directly, but through the process, going to scammers and grifters.
Which is absolutely disgusting, not just for the principle of the matter, but when you think about how many people have been taxed out of their homes or are unable to pull themselves out of poverty due to the way that taxes work, and then you realize it's going to these fraudulent individuals without any sort of, it seems nobody really cares enough to do formal investigations into it and hold people accountable.
I talked to a friend of mine the other day. He's like, yeah, the IRS is after him for, it's like over $10,000. And I happen to know this guy is not wealthy.
Yeah.
He does okay in what he does, but he doesn't live in the gated community in Chesterfield. Let's just put it that way. He's got a very middle income style. And I'm thinking, well, what'd you do? He goes, I got lawyers fighting. It's going to cost me thousands. It's, that's the IRS. And 10% of that going to somebody. Now, right now, everybody's thinking a fake, Somali-run Leering Center. But it could be anything. It could be, it could be fake, home health care services. It could be fake Medicare billing. It could be fake. It could be fake social services, drug counseling. It could be anything, the stuff that just does not exist. Jeez. And so that's where we are with this. 10% of what you've paid and what you're going to pay just simply going to somebody who's stealing it, and you've got governments at all levels just willing to hand it over, and in a lot of cases, it's just as a political favor to keep support of particular interest groups. That's all it is. And it's stealing from you. Yep. By the way, we've got the monkey update coming in the news dump here, because that's the story around St. Louis. And the AI-generated monkey stuff in St. Louis has been phenomenal. Let me tell you, all of you people in St. Louis who are doing the monkeys and the goat, chef's kiss. Mwah. It's been phenomenal so far. Please keep it up.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Are you ready to take a totally tubular trip down memory lane? Join us for the ultimate 80s and 90s trivia night, raising funds for the Nick Schroer for State Senate campaign. Dust off your neon, grab your friends, and test your knowledge on all the classics, from mixtapes to sitcoms, boy bands to blockbuster hits, and maybe even some political questions. It's all happening Saturday night, January 31st at the Elks Lodge in O'Fallon, Mo. Reserve your table now by emailing nick@nickschroer.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Louis Gohmert, he's a former congressman.
Bob Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
Pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. And so I snuck my transistor radio in my shirt and had the little earpiece into my ear and tried to keep my head turned where the teacher wouldn't see, but was listening to the World Series in class.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
From Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. 646 and counting. Rights groups say that's the death toll so far from anti-regime protests in Iran. Responding to the deadly unrest, President Trump, he's looking to tighten the economic screws on the mullahs.
The president said that any country that does business with Iran will be subjected to a 25% tariff rate on any business conducted with the U.S. He wrote online that the order is final, conclusive, and effective immediately. Meanwhile, the White House says the president is keeping all of his options on the table regarding Iran, including military options, as he considers how to respond to Iran's crackdown on citizen protesters. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The state of Minnesota and the Twin Cities have gone to court. They're trying to halt the surge of ICE officers to their jurisdictions. President Trump will be heading out of town later today.
He's going to give a speech at the Detroit Economic Club, in addition to touring a factory in Dearborn, Michigan, that produces F-150s. And my understanding is Ford is ramping up that manufacturing and also going to be hiring more American workers.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Day 2 of the New York City nurses' strike.
The strike is about getting a fair contract for staffing and also sticking to our health insurance, which is what Mount Sinai is trying to pull from us.
Mount Sinai West nurse Tricia Castillo, one of the 15,000 nurses out on the picket lines this morning. Hospitals affected include New York Presbyterian, Montefiore, and Mount Sinai. Labor Department set to release last month's inflation numbers. We expect that later today. And ahead of that release of the numbers, stock futures have been in the red so far this morning, and that's where they remain now. The Dow futures are down 13 points. NASDAQ futures off 77, and the S&P futures down 9 points this hour. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-524-4948. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-524-4948 or biglou.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking an increase in cloud cover as the day continues on. Temperatures back towards the lower 60s this afternoon, looking pretty warm. Then towards the evening hours, we're going to be looking at the possibility of a few light scattered showers that could turn into some flurries into Wednesday. Mostly cloudy. Temperatures will continue to drop. We're talking afternoon highs into Wednesday afternoon, back towards the mid-30s. Continue to fall off. We'll look cooler as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Friday could see some light chances of flurries. The first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. Mike Ferguson.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Huh? Susie Moore.
Have you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
We're a different kind of clown show.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, the Minnesotans are officially fighting back. Against enforcement of against law enforcement of immigration
Right
laws.
to the courthouse.
Yeah. Speaking of courthouses, the question over abortion back in a Missouri courtroom.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are maybe at risk of misunderstanding what's actually at issue here.
Okay.
So we'll get into that in just a second here. And we have your daily St. Louis monkey update.
Oh.
Yes.
Hey, where are the monkeys?
That's right. We have got to do a parody song of that with AI.
Yes. Hey, where are the monkeys?
Yes.
Yeah.
In St. Louis, we have to do that.
Okay, we're working on that as soon
All
as the
right.
show's over.
Yes, without a doubt on that. I don't know. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? That's phenomenal. And the AI artwork and videos around St. Louis of the monkeys on the loose, just phenomenal.
Off the hook.
Thank you all. Keep them coming. All right. It is 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and get started with the news dump here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, Department of Homeland Security says they are going to double down and deploy more agents into Minneapolis as protesters are physically pushing back against federal immigration enforcement operations. And, of course, that's after the shooting death of Renee Nicole Good, who was shot by an ICE agent who did not think kindly of her running a car right at him. On Fox's The Ingram Angle, Texas Congressman Chip Roy, he says, and I'm curious what you think about this, he says President Trump could invoke the Insurrection Act to deal with the violent protesters who are impeding ICE law enforcement. I did it again. I did not plug in.
Oops.
That is
He did it again.
That is 2 days in a row that I did that.
Boy, oh boy, we can't take this guy anywhere.
No,
It was the monkeys. The monkeys made it. Must have been in the studio.
Who did it? Yep. All right. Here's Congressman Chip Roy. I'm a trained professional.
Under the Supremacy Clause, they certainly have the right. The Immigration Clause in the Constitution, they certainly can go do that.
Okay, so Insurrection Act, is that a possibility when you're dealing with domestic interference with law enforcement? Really?
Sure is. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Ward did a full rundown on that like a couple days ago on Red State, and then before that, our friend Shipwrecked Crew had a very thorough, several different articles on it. So, that absolutely can be invoked.
Used.
Now, it's kind of last resort because it's like DEFCON 1.
Yeah.
But,
it's possible.
Well, and the Supreme Court even acknowledged that in its decision about the National Guard deployment, saying, that would probably be the proper way as opposed to the way that it was done.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, the state of Minnesota and the Twin Cities of Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, they are suing the federal government to stop that surge in ICE activity. Here's the story.
The lawsuit was filed in federal court in response to the Trump administration's surging of more than 2,000 immigration officers into Minnesota. The suit also asks for a temporary restraining order to halt the enforcement action or limit the operation. It alleges that the ICE operation violates federal law because it's arbitrary and capricious, since it says other states aren't seeing similar crackdowns. State officials say the federal government is really targeting Minnesota over politics. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Of course, other states are cooperating, other than like your Illinois, New York, and
Funny
California.
that.
There's a variable in there.
There is a substantial variable in there. Now, they drew a Biden judge. Big shock.
Yeah.
I expect the TRO to be coming down tomorrow or so, and they'll be challenging it, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Okay, trial over Missouri lawmakers' right to enact restrictions and health standards for abortion is underway. Okay, I want to go into more depth on this here around 6:20, but here are the basics on this. The trial started in Jackson County on Monday. Planned Parenthood is among the plaintiffs, arguing that Missouri's new constitutional amendment that was passed in 2024 prohibits basically any standard or restrictions on abortion. The trial is expected to last 2 weeks. This is a bench trial. There's no jury. Just the judge is going to issue the ruling on this. So 6:20, let's go into a little more depth on this, because I think there are a lot of people on both sides who are misunderstanding what's actually on trial.
Sure.
Right here. So that's going to happen a little bit here. All right, this is interesting. Missouri is considering a large-scale solar energy project that Ameren calls the Callaway Solar Project in the central part of the state.
Okay.
So basically a big solar farm is what it sounds like.
We already have a couple of those.
We got a couple of them in that area.
Yeah, because you
actually.
can see them when you drive by on 70.
The Missouri Public Service Commission gave Missourians a chance to weigh in on the issue at a recent virtual public hearing. Elise Schaefer with the Missouri Coalition for the Environment chimed in and is in favor of it.
MCE supports the proposed Callaway Solar Project, which is a sound investment in Missourians' health, in our energy independence, and in our economic security. For these reasons, I urge the Public Service Commission to vote yes on this proposal.
Okay, some are expressing concern, warning that moving too quickly away from fossil fuels could strain the grid. I think it's very, very reasonable to do that. Now, if approved, the facility would begin generating power for customers in 2028 if they approve this.
Okay.
Of course,
I need to know more.
Yeah, Callaway is also where the main nuclear power plant is as well. That powers, frankly, a lot of St. Louis. So I don't see why we can't have an all of the above.
I was going to say, why not both?
Yeah, and so the problem with organizations like Missouri Coalition for the Environment, while they are for the renewables, which is fine, I got no problem. If you want to waste money on a solar panel, that's fine. It'll give you a little bit of extra power. If you're off the grid, great, that sort of thing. You're driving around in your van and you want to live the van life, you need solar powers. I get that. But the problem is that they want to replace the more reliable and powerful energy sources with the less developed energy sources.
Yeah, that doesn't really work very well.
No, not in the least bit. All right, Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe delivering his State of the State address this afternoon.
This afternoon?
This afternoon, yep. That is scheduled to start at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
So I don't know that anybody's broadcasting it, so if you want to watch it, just go on the state's website, and I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you can watch it.
That will
Absolutely.
be easy to find. Let's see here. What? Another court issue. Big one starts at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Today. Yeah. The U.S. Supreme Court is going to consider challenges to a couple of state bans on boys playing girls' sports.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about here. The laws are in West Virginia and in Idaho. West Virginia Attorney General John McCuskey spoke with reporters defending the laws put in place by the two states' lawmakers.
The reason that we are here is because Idaho and West Virginia passed common sense laws that delineates the athletic playing fields in our states between the sexes, right? And so West Virginia's law makes sure that every single woman and girl in West Virginia has a safe and fair playing field in order for them to earn and learn all of the amazing skills that come from competitive team athletics.
Okay, so they're going to hear that today. Obviously, we don't know. It'll be a while before there's any sort of ruling on this. Essentially, you've got everything from the Title IX aspect to the states' rights aspect. You've got all sorts of different things, but the longer that this so-called trans thing, and I try not to use it because that's not a real thing, but the longer you go with this, the more I think people are settling into reality on this. And I think I like the chances of the right ruling to come out on this.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be careful about that because we're talking about a legal ruling, not a sociological, cultural thing, even though, of course, the justices do not sit in a vacuum and they're not immune to the recognition of that. Legally, though, I do think there are some pretty sound arguments here on the side of people who are saying that males should not compete in female sports.
Right, exactly. By the way, yesterday there was a rally at City Hall in St. Louis.
Oh.
In favor of the mentally ill people who are, trying to pretend to be something else. And the only video package I saw on this was from KSDK, as you would expect.
Okay.
I encourage you to go find it and look at it. It looks like a circus with circus clowns. I mean, it's that insane. And of course, KSDK presented this as, look at this very serious thing that these civil rights activists and victims are it is insane.
Was it in relation to this upcoming?
Yeah, they're rallying, because of this case coming up. Yeah, they were rallying at City Hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the story that we are all watching as closely as we can, the vervet monkeys still roaming free in the metro. Justin Hauser from the city's health department has this caution if you happen to see one or more of them.
The information that we've been given from our partner agencies is that the monkeys are very intelligent, but they can be unpredictable. And for individuals that these monkeys are not known to, we just don't want them to come in contact with each other because of that unpredictable nature.
So call animal control if you happen to see one or more monkeys running around the metro area.
Yeah.
Or call producer Jerome. Just saying.
The exact number of the monkeys is not yet known. The common belief is that there's 4. That we just don't know.
Well, yeah, unless one of them went missing, Jerome.
That's right.
I only saw 3, and I hope both of them are doing okay because one monkey is going to be very lonely.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Well, that's it. If you get one puppy, you need to get 2. If you get one monkey, you need to get 2. Right, I see. Let's see how that goes. All right, Blues are back at home for the NHL's early game tonight. They're hosting the Hurricanes at Enterprise. Puck drops at 6:30. This one's nationally televised. This is on ESPN+.
All right.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I see your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
NewsTalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on NewsTalk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
They served our country with honor. Now it's our turn to serve them. Join the freedom13.org for an unforgettable gala honoring America's heroes, February 27th at the Foundry Arts Center in St. Charles. A special evening supporting Freedom 13's bold mission. 50 camps in 50 states on more than 50,000 acres, building 650 homes for veterans, police, and their families. Tickets and sponsorship opportunities are available now. Visit thefreedom13.org. That's thefreedom13.org.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Vince Colonnese. I'll talk to you tonight at 8, but now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on News Talk STL.
Got some Sammy Hagar here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so did you see Sammy Hagar announced he's kicking off a 2026 tour here in a few months?
I did not.
Starting it here in St. Louis.
Woohoo.
At the Amphitheater.
That's appropriate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, with his opening act is going to be Rick Springfield.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's a great match. I
The
think.
nostalgia tour.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was still doing anything.
Rick Springfield.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh, Sammy Hagar's putting out new music, and he created what was it? Tequila brand, I think it was, and he ended up selling it for a mountain of money.
Cabo Wabo.
Yeah, Cabo Wabo. It was tequila, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then he started, because obviously he can't make another tequila brand to compete with. That's part of his deal. So he then moved on to rum, and I think he's got a rum brand now. And so, but yeah, he's still putting out music, still touring, and so he's. I want to say it's in, I don't know, it's like late spring or something like that. He's going to start his tour, and it's going to be at Riverport or whatever it's called now.
It'll always be Riverport. Just like it's always going to be Twitter.
That's right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, whatever it is that sponsors you, whatever. So yeah, that's going to be kind of fun. Of course, Sammy Hagar, through that relationship he had with KC95 all these years, he's like got a legit soft spot for St. Louis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be a sold out show, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right, abortion back in the courtroom in Missouri. Okay, so this trial began yesterday in Jackson County. Now, here's why I say I think a lot of people are misunderstanding what's at stake because I've seen a few people on both. I'm not going to say the fringes, but kind of the hardcore side of both sides of the abortion debate. And I think there are some people that are trying to tell us that the legality of abortion in Missouri is up for trial. It's not.
No.
That's not true. What is at stake is whether or not there are any restrictions or health standards that lawmakers can put in on something that is legal in the state.
Right.
And that's really where it's at because Planned Parenthood and a couple other plaintiffs, there's 2 Planned Parenthood groups and then I think a couple other plaintiffs, they're basically arguing, look at the plain language of the amendment that was passed in 2024. It does not allow for any restrictions whatsoever. And we've had multiple people from Missouri Right to Life and a bunch of other pro-life groups who have said, no, that's what it says. That's what makes it so bad. So the question is, overall, if lawmakers are allowed to put in health and safety standards and regulations on other things that are explicitly legal, can they do it on abortion?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's being debated, or that's what's being tried.
Tried.
Yeah.
Right.
In the courtroom.
Yeah. I mean, I think, one of the big issues with the current in effect Amendment 3 was that the language was broad enough
right.
that it really did kind of seem like that you really couldn't put any restrictions whatsoever, which is like, okay, so most people who say that they're pro-choice will be like, well, I think there should be logical, rational, reasonable restrictions. No, not according to Planned Parenthood.
Not according to them, no.
Yeah.
And also remember that this also includes the whole gender dysphoria thing.
It does, yes.
I mean, and to where nothing can be passed. I mean, this was such a broad, sweeping constitutional amendment that it's entirely possible, Susie, that Planned Parenthood could win this and the courts are going to rule not a single restriction. And when they say anything that interferes, we're talking age, we're talking health standards that apply for other medical procedures.
Parental notification.
Yeah, we're saying absolutely none of that. That is how awful the old amendment was. And I'm trying to reserve Amendment 3 now for the positive connotation.
Right.
Because this year we will be voting on the good Amendment 3.
New and improved.
Yes, that would negate and would overturn this amendment and put in many of the, not all, but many of the pro-life standards in, and we would make the state pro-life again.
Yeah.
But it would also clarify things that were already in Missouri law, because one of the biggest lies that we heard from the left was, if a woman's having an ectopic pregnancy or her life is at risk, this Missouri law doesn't allow that woman to be saved.
It's a lie.
Which was demonstrably, just horribly false. I mean, if the law explicitly made exceptions for those things. So the new Amendment 3, the good Amendment 3, is making that very, very clear. So I would say it takes away their argument, but my guess is they're going to lie about it as well.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's where that is. And, 2 weeks, and then who knows how long it'll take the judge to chew through everything and put out a ruling. We don't know.
Yeah, there's no time limit on that.
Yeah, and then the politics of it goes from there, because regardless of which way the ruling goes, both sides will leverage that in the campaign for and against the new Amendment 3.
Well, sure, and there'll probably be an appeal from the trial court decision, and so it'll eventually end up before the Missouri Supreme Court. So we're talking about a year down the road before there's any definitive decision on this.
Which could that be made moot depending on the outcome of the new Amendment 3 election?
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah, if it's passed, for instance, to say no, you're allowed to do it.
Yeah,
and so don't get caught up in the misinformation on what's actually at stake.
You just say that like across the board every day, all day long.
You could.
Don't get caught up in the misinformation.
Yeah, exactly. But that also goes to why it's crucial to not just be involved in the political side of pro-life.
Yeah.
For instance, we work with a variety of pro-life groups here. I think almost everybody at the station is essentially pro-life. I mean, there's maybe one or two that I'm not sure about, but for the most part, this is just unapologetically pro-life radio station.
So is Red State.
Yeah, absolutely. Red State's very pro-life.
Very much so.
Yeah, very unapologetically pro-life, which is one of the things I like about it. And we've got, for instance, Missouri Right to Life and Steve Rupp, and we had Pam on the other day or Susan on the other day, and we're talking with Pam right now because the annual Missouri Right to Life pro-life banquet's going to be coming up.
Okay.
I don't know if they've announced who the speaker is going to be, but I happen to know who the speaker is going to be, and I think it's going to be a fantastic draw. And
yes,
because you know who it is,
I
right?
do.
I don't know that they've announced. Maybe we should.
Yeah.
Can you look up their website to see if they've announced it? If they have not, then I'll keep it under the hat until they do it. But if they've already put it up there, then we can talk about it. But I can tell you that it's I think a much better draw than last year's, and last year's was fine, but this is going to be very very exciting, but Missouri Right to Life is incredibly effective on education and the policy and the political side of this.
Yes,
they have announced it.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
I'm not even seeing that they've got the
okay.
banquet on.
I'm saying stay tuned that there is very soon, because I think the banquet's in April. And we are partnering with Missouri Right to Life on this. I am going to be really excited. I really hope they let me make the announcement.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I don't even see an announcement about the banquet itself. So.
Okay. Well, they have one every year, so that's not
yes,
news.
that's coming up. Yeah, no, that's not.
Very excited about this. And so then you've got Reach.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Reach doesn't delve into the politics at all. You can be, one of the few people on the left who say, but yeah, I think that, abortion is bad. Whether you think it should be legal or not, that is a different thing. And so Reach doesn't do the politics of it. I mean, they obviously have an interest in some of the policies as far as tax credits and all that sort of thing. And they're very pro-life people because they spend their time doing the face-to-face work where a young woman comes in or a teenage girl comes in or something like that. God forbid a trafficking victim comes in.
Right.
And they come in and they just need somebody to care about them. And they're trying to save a life, not because it's politics, but because there's a human being whose life needs to be saved. And that's what they do.
It's principles, not politics.
Right. And it's just that care and ministry. And we're going to talk to Levi around 8:05 today because I got an email from him yesterday. You know those Choose Life license plates that you see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a program that is designed to help generate funds. A lot of license plates, you can do that. There are different organizations you can do the license plate and it generates funds. And so Reach, Reproductive Health, is taking over the Choose Life license plate program in the state. They are going to oversee it.
Okay.
So the organization, the people that were overseeing that as designated by the state, they're handing this over to Reach. And so what happens now is if you get one of those Choose Life license plates, which I think is like $25 or something like that, it's really it will help support the work of Reach.
Oh, that's great. I like that.
And it's not a political statement. It's choose life. It's, look for a way to, avoid doing that. That doesn't mean politics.
Well, yeah. I mean,
the left will make it into
I was going to say,
but it doesn't have to be.
It shouldn't be about politics at all. But yes, it inevitably becomes that. But yeah, just saying you're pro-life, I mean, it shouldn't be controversial.
It doesn't have to be. Yeah, so Kevin Roach was the founder of Choose Life of Missouri, and he is quoted as saying, 20 years ago, I founded Choose Life of Missouri as a labor of love to support life-affirming decisions, encourage adoption, and stand with families navigating difficult moments. As I began prayerfully looking towards the future, I knew I was being led to find the right partner to carry this work forward. After meeting with the board of directors and senior leadership of Reach Reproductive Health, it was immediately clear this was the partnership I had been seeking. In a short time, Reach had demonstrated itself as a proven force for life.
Nice.
Which they, without doubt. He goes on to say their commitment to life-affirming care through pregnancy centers, mobile medical services, and compassionate leadership has already made a real impact and shown they are prepared for the work ahead. I am deeply encouraged by what they are building and grateful to see the mission carried forward with strength and clarity, confident that Choose Life of Missouri is now entrusted to capable leadership and well-positioned for the challenges and opportunities ahead. For the funds that are going to be raised through the Choose Life license plates, those are going to specifically be used to open a new medical center in the city of St. Louis.
Oh, wow. I like that.
That's what that's for.
Yeah, very, very much like that.
Yeah. So we're going to talk to Levi in about an hour and a half and get all the details on that.
Okay. Well, could your paycheck get a little bigger over time in Missouri? It will if the governor and many Republicans get their way. We'll explain at 6:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Smart people know it. Stupid people may not know it.
On News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Explore St. Louis is considering privatizing the downtown convention center. David Stokes of Show Me will tell us if this has worked in other cities at 420.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking an increase in cloud cover as the day continues on. Temperature is back towards the lower 60s this afternoon, looking pretty warm. Then towards the evening hours, we're going to be looking at the possibility of a few light scattered showers. That could turn into some flurries into Wednesday. Mostly cloudy. Temperatures will continue to drop. We're talking afternoon highs into Wednesday afternoon, back towards the mid-30s. Continue to fall off. We'll look cooler as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Friday could see some light chances of flurries. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scott.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, and Heroes Care.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Governor's State of the State address is this afternoon. So he's well, we talked to him just the other day.
We did.
He wasn't giving out the details of how this is going to go. That's going to happen this afternoon. But he's going to put lawmakers kind of on the spot, find a way to eliminate the state's income tax, and he's going to give his version of what that. Now, what we were told last week is basically details are going to be announced in the State of the State address, not because it's super top secret or something, but he wants to give the proponents of this equal time, probably a head start on making it happen instead of the opponents of it,
right?
As well. So we're going to get to that. And it's one thing for the president's State of the State address, whoever the president is. A lot of people watch that, even if they're not the policy wonky type, the nerdy type. If you're watching the governor's State of the State address, you are really tuned in.
It's true.
I mean, you're one of those people who consumes news aggressively and proactively. So that's a smaller.
Now, typically, I might do that, except for this one I'm on with Tony.
Right, exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that's going to happen, and we'll get to not only what it could look like, but some of the challenges he might face from the Republicans still ahead, even Republicans who agree with him. We'll get to that in a second. But when you are ready to read up on the news, maybe if you want to look really busy at work because you're on the computer reading something and you don't really want to check into work, you can go to redstate.com.
You can.
And you can get informed and still look busy at work. So if you're going to do that, Susie, what is hot on Red State today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
What's hot today is something we just talked about. Bob Hoag's got an article up titled "Minnesota Prays for a Judge to Jump In, Takes Trump Administration to Court Over ICE Actions." So that's the Minnesota case we were talking about. Bob's got a good write-up on that if you want kind of an overview of what that case is about. This one I like. I like all of them. This one I really like. I
It's
guess
like,
is my
which
point.
of your kids is your favorite, Susie?
I love them all. No, this one has a special place in my heart. It's from Katie Jerkovich. It's titled "Enemies." J.K. Rowling blasts silence of leftists amid Iran protests.
Yeah, I saw that headline this morning. I didn't have time to read it, but I thought that was it drew me in. That's one of them I'm clicking on later today.
It is fascinating when you contrast that with, sort of the activism we've seen over the past couple of years and the silence in relation to this. And then last but not least, this is a VIP article from Ward about the Supreme Court argument titled "Biological Boys' Unfair Sports Advantage Now Challenged in High Court." Ward gives a very nice both legal and biological overview in that one because Ward is a trained biologist.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Okay. Redstate.com. That's where you get all the stuff. Okay. We talked about this just before you got in, Susie. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, did an interview with Chris Rufo the other day. And he posted it. And in that interview, he made the claim that of the federal budget, an estimated up to 10% of all federal monies collected from us goes to scammers and grifters and fraud.
Yeah.
10%.
Yeah. And as you pointed out, not just silly programs that we might not approve of, but literally fraud.
Right. Because we talked to Congressman Bob Onder yesterday. He said they found one Social Security number that was used on like 100 different, Obamacare. I mean, so it's happening. And, I try to just call balls and strikes with any administration, including the Trump administration. People get mad at me for that, but I just try to call balls and strikes. This area, this laser focus on fraud and waste and abuse is something the Trump administration is doing that is probably 80 years overdue in this country.
Easily.
Yeah. So anybody who opposes this has ulterior motives. There's nobody right, left, center who should ever say, just let some of it go, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying that, it's because you support the special interest who are grifting.
Right. Now, what they'll do is disguise that, but they'll say, it's not that. Yeah, if there really was that going on, we should. But I think they're just making it up as a pretext to be authoritarian.
Yeah, you've just got something against phantom Somali children who are just trying to leer.
Racist.
Yeah, they're just trying to leer. Okay, so that's the federal side. But when we look at our taxes, I don't know about you all, but I don't look at it as compartmentalized. I'm really mad about the federal taxes, but, state taxes, I just look at how much I'm paying.
Sure.
When you look at your paycheck and you look at what's deducted, most people don't differentiate. You may look at the worst offender, but you just see how much money of yours is taken.
Yes.
So Governor Kehoe is going to announce here in, 9 hours or something like that, 8.5 hours, his plan to eliminate the state income tax in Missouri. Now, we spoke with him about this last week, and here's the argument that he made to your question, Susie, about the bold move, his words, the bold move of eliminating the state income tax and why he wants this to be priority number one.
Well, what I want Missourians to know is I have a firm belief, 35 years in small business, born and raised in the St. Louis area, by the way, that I believe that you and Missourians can spend their money way better than any elected official, including me. And if we put that money back in Missourians' pockets, I'm really comfortable about how they'll spend it and what it will do for our economy. And by the way, the number is nearly $9 billion with a B, and it would be annually. I mean, it's not like a one-time shot. It would be, that money would go back into our, some people would save it. I have a few relatives that they still have their first communion money.
Wow.
But a lot of people are going to go, add on to their house, buy something for their kids, pay for tuition, use it to get by. And it's their money. It's not our money. And I say all the time that, we raise, even though I'm from North City, I'm into the cattle and horse business. If you put feed in front of those animals, they'll keep eating. And in this building, if you keep putting money in front of people, they'll keep spending.
So I loved his argument on that, in that you put money there, they will spend it, they will commit it. Remember, bureaucrats at all levels, their job depends on spending your money.
Correct.
So when you go to a bureaucrat and say, find a way to save money and reduce government, what you're actually telling them is find a way to make your job less needed.
Mm-hmm.
And that violates human interest.
Absolutely.
Once again, somebody mentioned this last week. I'll give a shout out. Go back to that old classic book by Harry Brown, How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World, and then go to his follow-up book, Why Government Doesn't Work. And he lays clearly out the incentive argument on this and the incentive for people in government. Not that there aren't good people who happen to work in government. They're out there. And so the governor is saying, no, this needs to be done. Now, we've heard Nick Schroer, we've heard some others who are saying it's not just about the money. It's not just about your paycheck. It's also about limiting where government can reach and the authority that government can reach. Because if you limit the money, you limit what government can do. So it's also a restraint on government in general. And that's an aspect of this that people forget. And we've got an opportunity to do a really great thing this year.
That's as it should be. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why. It's so strange to me, this sort of impulse on the part of so many, particularly on the left, to want more government and less autonomy and less personal responsibility. And I guess, I don't know.
Well, it's weaponized, or at least exploiting the empathy that people have, because a lot of people seem to have this idea that if you reduce taxes, suddenly every person that might need some sort of assistance is going to be kicked to the curb, that everybody is going to not have any roads, that nothing's going to get done, and that we're all going to be in this like apocalyptic scenario. But I think that also goes into the fact that not a lot of people are actually looking at where these taxes are going. And so they are not understanding that there are programs. And I know this from a fact from being part of organizations where we had to create a budget. And if we didn't spend all of that budget, the budget got cut. So you got incentivized to keep spending at that level. Of course. That's going on at pretty much everywhere that a budget is being created.
Yeah. You know, and there have been arguments against that. Like, for instance, there was a statewide candidate back in 2004. Yeah, 2004. Who argued that Missouri should take on, it was part of the platform of a campaign for lieutenant governor, said that every year, every department in Missouri should do zero-based budgeting, meaning you start with your request at zero and then you justify it every year so that you avoid exactly that. Now, that guy only got like not even 5% of the vote.
It's a great idea. No one wanted to vote for it.
No, I only got
I was going to say, I'm looking right at him, aren't I?
That was me. I was the Libertarian nominee for
the light bulb clicked a moment ago.
I was the Libertarian nominee for lieutenant governor in 2004, and that was part of my platform. It was exactly what you said, because you know what happens is these state governments said, you know, let's say I've got a budget of $20 million, but our services only needed $19 million. They're going to find a way to spend that other $1 million so that they don't have to answer for, well, you only spent 19, you get 19. You know, they're not going to do that. They're going to find a way to do it, and that's a wrong incentive.
And that's very, I think, backwards, because then if you are a little bit more conservative with your spending in 1 year, then you get punished for that. But if you need more funding the following year, it becomes harder to get that, and there might be a legitimate reason why the following year you might need more.
Yeah, you could have a natural disaster, or you could have whatever that happens. I mean,
better technology comes out, it might be making everybody safer, you know.
Right, you never know. So now Scott Fitzpatrick, the state auditor that we spoke with as well, I thought he made it clear that he was in favor of at least tax cuts, if not the elimination. But he is still like cautioning, saying, okay, but you have to make sure that the revenue is replaced somehow. And if sales taxes aren't generating that much revenue, then you have to, through the Hancock Amendment, put it on the ballot. You don't know what's going to happen. And so, you know, he's given a few interviews to do that. And so my worry is that some Republicans will start getting cold feet.
Yep.
And they're going to start thinking about next year. They're going to start thinking about 2028. They're going to worry that, you know, there's a fight, because honestly, we're probably overdue for some kind of correction in the economy anyway. Yeah. At some point in the next few years, not right away. So I think that there's a chance some Republicans will get cold feet, which is why I'm going to be interested to see what the governor has to say, because if he says we can step this down over 3, 4, 5 years, and then we can eliminate that, but your paycheck's going to be a little bit bigger every year for the next 3, 4, 5 years. I think you've got something that it would be inexcusable for Republicans not to support.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not even 2 weeks into the new year, and yet there's already a lot happening in the news. We'll update you on the top stories at 6:50.
What's that?
And yes, we do have an update on the rogue monkeys around the St. Louis area.
That's it.
Monkeys.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Democrat policies don't work, and they destroy every community that they are in charge of.
On News Talk STL.
know if you've ever gone through the process of getting new flooring, but it can be a little intimidating. It can kind of be a hassle. I went through that process a while ago, and it was not a hassle. And you want to know why? Because I went with Michael's Flooring Outlet. They're a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years, so you know you can count on them. If it's variety that you're looking for, well, Michael's has it. They've got luxury vinyl, natural stone, hardwood carpet, laminate, you name it, they've got it. Plus, with Michael's, you know your installation is going to be done right the first time because it's being done by the experts at Michael's, not just some random subcontractor. With Michael's, you're getting the best combination ever. You're getting great quality and great value. And so if you are looking for new flooring, if you're thinking about new flooring, that's where you need to go. You need to go check them out. You can shop in store at one of their 3 locations, on Olive and Creek Core, on Town Square in Darting Prairie, or on Main Street in St. Peters. Or you can shop from the comfort of your own home. Just go online to igotfloored.com.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Minnesota officials are fighting back against federal law enforcement in their state.
Yeah.
Did I misstate that? Did I say anything out of context there?
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's what they're doing.
Oh, my goodness. Also, a question over abortion is back in a Missouri courtroom. We'll give you
Okay.
the basic details on that, just because I think so many people are getting it wrong because we get so fired up on both sides over the question of abortion. So we'll tell you what's actually being argued in Jackson County. And like Jerome said, the big story of the day.
My boys out there.
The monkey update.
The monkeys.
I'm still Team Monkey.
I am too.
We're all Team Monkey here, right?
And goat.
And goat. Yeah, don't forget the goat's kind of getting lost in
Short
all this.
shrift.
Yeah, he's the shimp of the group.
He is.
He's the chauffeur.
He's not the curly. He's the shimp of the group. I'm
that's
just
fair.
All right. 6:48 right now. Let's go ahead and I hope I didn't hurt the ghost's feelings with that. Yeah. Did you just?
I did. I couldn't think of a better comeback, so I just wanted to.
That may have been the best one. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
Okay, the Department of Homeland Security plans on deploying more agents to Minneapolis as people are protesting violently, often, immigration enforcement operations in the state, particularly around Minneapolis, and that's after the death of Renee Nicole Good. On Fox's Ingram Angle, Texas Congressman Chip Roy saying President Trump, in his opinion, should invoke the Insurrection Act.
Under the Supremacy Clause, they certainly have the right. The Immigration Clause in the Constitution, they certainly can go do that.
And he's talking about targeting people who are physically, violently trying to stop ICE, DHS, and other federal law enforcement from enforcing immigration laws.
Yes, that's illegal.
Yeah, and so the Insurrection Act, as we were talking for those who are just kind of joining in, legally, from what you can tell, you're saying, no, that's an option. Legal.
It's an option. I mean, you can debate it, but it is an option. It is a thing. It's
What was, I mean, what's the Cliff's Notes version of what insurrection actually is?
Well, I was trying to pull it up, but because we have a good definition of it in the piece that I was talking about from Ward.
There's a lot of bad definitions on the internet.
Yeah, and I don't want to give you a bad one. Right. So if you'll let me get to that, I will bring it back
Well,
up
let's
to
get to that right after this. I mean, Minnesota and the Twin Cities in particular, they are suing the federal government to stop that surge of federal law enforcement.
Lawsuit was filed in federal court in response to the Trump administration's surging of more than 2,000 immigration officers into Minnesota. The suit also asks for a temporary restraining order to halt the enforcement action or limit the operation. It alleges that the ICE operation violates federal law because it's arbitrary and capricious, since it says other states aren't seeing similar crackdowns. State officials say the federal government is really targeting Minnesota over politics. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Yeah, and of course, I'm sure this will bounce around some courts.
Oh,
for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
it already is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it now is codified in Title 10 of the U.S. Code. The applicable provision here is whenever the president considers that unlawful obstructions, combinations, or assemblages of or rebellion against the authority of the United States make it impracticable to enforce the laws of the United States in any state, blah, blah, blah. So that's what it's like. Basically, if this is to the point where it's keeping us from being able to enforce the laws of the United States, then I can invoke this.
That seems to fit.
Seems to.
Yeah. All right. Democratic Senator Mark Kelly suing the U.S. Department of Defense /War. He says the agency is, of course, they're not threatening to. They are trying to cut his pay from his pension in the military by reducing his rank post-retirement. That all stems from that video that he was a part of with other Democrats calling on military service members to refuse President Trump's orders if they think they're illegal. Yeah. Senator Kelly speaking about that on the Senate floor yesterday.
Pete Hegseth is now coming after what I earned through my 25 years of military service in violation of my rights as an American and as a retired veteran and as a United States Senator whose job it is to hold this and any administration accountable.
Kelly was a U.S. Navy pilot and also later a NASA astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to be really interested to see where that suit goes because I think there's massive jurisdictional issues.
Yeah.
The discovery, if it goes forward, is going to be fascinating.
And since Tim Walz actually made a statement that implied he might mobilize the National Guard to stand up to ICE troops, I would like to remind them it is okay for you to ignore illegal orders.
Oh, someone turned Jerome in.
There you go. Wasn't what was that Kiefer Sutherland series where he was? No, not 24.
Soul
the other
Survivor.
One. Soul Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there was a scene in that, and I haven't seen the whole series, but there was a scene. And the premise of the show is he was the designated
survivor.
Designated survivor. So he was the throwaway cabinet member nobody knew about, and then somebody attacked the Capitol and killed the president and everybody else, and he became the president. And at one point, he was deploying the National Guard, and they said, "We refuse your order. We report to the state."
Mm-hmm.
And that was like one of the scenes of the conflict.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to predict real life, but
no, I don't think it is.
Okay, a trial over Missouri lawmakers' right to enact restrictions and health standards for abortions is now underway. Mm-hmm. That started in Jackson County on Monday. Planned Parenthood is among the plaintiffs arguing that Missouri's new constitutional amendment, I say new, it was passed in 2024, prohibits basically any standards or restrictions on abortion. The trial is expected to last 2 weeks, and so the question of whether abortion remains legal or not in Missouri is not on trial here.
No.
Abortion is going to remain legal in Missouri, unfortunately, one way or the other. This is a question as to whether lawmakers can apply some basic regulations and standards on this the same way they do any other procedure, even stuff like dermatology or something like that. And so that's really what the judge is hearing in this case. But we can actually clear this all up by passing the Good Amendment 3 later this year.
It's true. Yep. That's true.
Okay, Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe delivering his State of the State address this afternoon. That is scheduled for 3 p.m.
Okay.
We got a little bit of a preview of that with him last week when we were at the Capitol. And if you want to hear that discussion, just go to our podcast.
Yeah.
And you can hear our conversation with Governor Mike Kehoe. That was exclusive that day.
It was.
As well. Okay, what people really care about, though, what people really care about in St. Louis, and rightfully so, yes, the monkeys.
The monkeys.
Yes.
And the goat. We're kind of short. I think you're right, Susie. We're shortchanging the goat.
Yeah.
Not getting enough love.
I know.
Just saying.
It's like the team mascot, but he's being forgotten.
I know. The vervet monkeys, which are kind of like a light tan color, essentially.
Yeah.
Kind of. They are still. I tell you, like what color? Like there are any other monkeys running around the metro area.
Well, just never know.
You're not going to see like. Well, Mike said these were light tan. These are more of a beige. No, no. Those are the monkeys. Those are it. They are still roaming free in the metro. They made it another day, as far as we know. Justin Hauser from the city's health department has this caution: if you happen to see one of them, or you happen to see more than one of them.
The information that we've been given from our partner agencies is that the monkeys are very intelligent, but they can be unpredictable. And for individuals that these monkeys are not known to, we just don't want them to come in contact with each other because of that unpredictable nature.
And that was a statement made to KMOV. We don't know exactly how many monkeys there are. We think that there were 4 monkeys that are out roaming around and 1 goat.
And just remember, these are vervet monkeys. Yep. So if you see like a gorilla running around, that's an entirely different problem.
That's a whole
Do
different
not.
thing.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing on there. So
completely different.
Yeah, that is. But they're cute little critters.
They are.
Just don't think they're so cute and cuddly and try to cuddle them. Don't do that.
No, just call.
It's been kind of cold. They're probably hungry.
Yeah.
So be careful. Just saying, be careful. But we love the monkeys. If they are captured, and I'm still team monkey on this, they're probably going to end up at the St. Louis Zoo, would be my guess.
Well, we'll see.
This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriotti sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriottis, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Very active, very fun chat box. Cinderfer.
Hi, Cinderfer.
Hey, how you doing? She says, yo, Vic, baby. Verbatim, yo, Vic, baby. With an exclamation point. How else are you supposed to read that? I was driving, had to pull over to comment. I was going to say how sexy the beard is, but I'm afraid of your wife.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I would be.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now, you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
You guys just didn't want it bad enough. That should have been an easy win. What were you doing out there? You gotta hustle. You could have made that play if you'd been open.
On the car ride home after the game, when you think you're helping by telling me what I did wrong and what I need to work on, all I hear is that I'm not good enough, that I'm supposed to be perfect, that it's not okay to lose. On the car ride home, all I need to hear is how much you love me and enjoy watching me play, that my worth isn't determined by my performance, that even on my worst day, I am worthy, that you see me learning, growing, and doing my best, and that is enough.
This message presented by the MSH SAA and the Missouri Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning. Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Arnett Thomason. ICE agents remain under siege in Minneapolis. Demonstrators are out in force, tossing all manner of objects at the officers who have been responding with tear gas. Minneapolis and St. Paul and the state of Minnesota have filed suit. They're hoping to halt the surge of ICE agents to their jurisdictions. One of the higher profile battles of the culture wars will go before the nation's highest court today.
The Supreme Court is hearing arguments over state laws barring transgender girls and women from playing on school athletic teams. The culture war cases come from Idaho and West Virginia, among the first of the more than 24 Republican-led states that have banned transgender athletes from girls' and women's teams. The justices are evaluating claims of sex discrimination lodged by transgender people versus the need for fair competition for women and girls, the main argument made by the states. Lower courts ruled for the transgender athletes who challenged the state bans. I'm Jeff Cool.
President Trump 25% tariffs on countries that do business with Iran, where the government continues its deadly crackdown on demonstrators. One activist group says it has confirmed the deaths of at least 646 protesters. Handful of Senate Republicans objects to the Justice Department's criminal investigation of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell.
Several GOP members expressed serious reservations, including Senator Tom Tillis, who called it a weaponization of the Justice Department. He also said that he would oppose any of the president's Fed nominees until the investigation is resolved. Senator Lisa Murkowski called it nothing more than an attempt at coercion. And Senator Dave McCormick said he doesn't think Fed Chair Powell is guilty of criminal activity. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Dow futures down 82 points. NASDAQ futures off 42. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What if 2026 could be the best year ever for your retirement? It can when you take control of your financial future with physical precious metals. Call Advantage Gold at 800-741-GOLD now to get your free gold and silver rollover kit, a $49 value just for calling. More Americans than ever are discovering the power of rolling over a portion of their IRA or 401k into physical gold and silver. With a simple, tax and penalty-free rollover, you can add stability, security, and strength to your retirement. In times of inflation, uncertainty, or market swings, gold has been a steady, tangible, proven store of value. And in 2026, it could be the key to building the retirement you've always imagined. That's why so many people trust Advantage Gold, the #1 rated gold IRA company in America for 10 years running. Call 800-741-GOLD to get your free gold rollover kit. Call 800-741-GOLD. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-4653 now. That's 800-741-GOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking an increase in cloud cover as the day continues on. Temperatures back towards the lower 60s this afternoon, looking pretty warm. Then towards evening hours, we're going to be looking at the possibility of a few light scattered showers that could turn into some flurries into Wednesday. Mostly cloudy. Temperatures will continue to drop. We're talking afternoon highs into Wednesday afternoon, back towards the mid-30s. Continue to fall off. We'll look cooler as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Friday could see some light chances of flurries. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes and 10,000 fraudulent Somali daycares.
That's a really long slogan.
They can't put all of that on
won't
the
all
license
fit.
plate. No,
Nope.
it won't. But they really do not like investigators and law enforcement poking around looking for bad guys.
Imagine
apparently.
that.
Some of their leadership. You know, the thing is that you've got who knows how many Minnesotans who are like, no, stop the fraud. That's my tax money. No, get the illegals out. That's, but they're drowned out by an entire nation who thinks everybody in Minnesota just wants the bad guys to win.
Yes.
And there are a lot of good people in Minnesota going, no, this isn't fair. We want this.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's like with any state or municipality, locality. I mean, the majority vote and voice kind of drowns out the minority vote. But I was just going to look this up. I mean, Minnesota's a light blue state.
Yeah.
For a reason. I mean, there's plenty of people there that don't vote for the Tim Walzes of the world.
Well, there was not that long ago, historically speaking, Norm Coleman was representing Minnesota in the U.S. Senate, and so it's not like they've never had non-Democrats out there, but it is definitely left and trending more left. And so the more that you see a trend left, the more you see this kind of stuff. And what's going on right now is that Minnesota has filed a lawsuit demanding that the federal government essentially withdraw ICE and Homeland Security from their state and stop enforcing federal immigration laws and stop looking for illegal aliens. Now, the lawsuit, as I understand it, Susie, doesn't say anything about the fraud investigations.
No.
This is just about
ICE operations.
The ICE operations. Yeah. And Attorney General Keith Ellison was at a press conference, surrounded by a bunch of the extreme leftists like, Jacob Fry and some of those. And here's part of what he had to say.
The obvious targeting of Minnesota for our diversity, for our democracy, and our differences of opinion with the federal government is a violation of the Constitution and of federal law.
Okay, so he's making a constitutional argument.
He just pulled that out of his rear. That was not a sound legal argument that he just made.
Here's the other part, or another part of what he had to say.
We asked the courts to end the DHS unlawful behavior in our state, the intimidation, the threats, the violence.
Now, part of what he was arguing there is that you're picking on us because we're pushing back against the president. That's part of what he's arguing. And if the president had never sent any other ICE enforcement, or Kristi Noem had never sent any other ICE informant, or Tom Homan or any of the others had never sent any ICE informant or DHS into any other part of the country, maybe he'd have an argument. You just don't like Tampon Tim Walz?
Mm-hmm.
But he sent them into Illinois. He sent them into California. They're going into Louisiana,
Oregon.
They're going into Memphis. They're all over
DC,
Washington. Yeah, they're all over the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So does that immediately negate that part of it?
Well, it undermines the argument. Yeah, and I don't know if I've seen this brought up before, but a state arguing equal protection.
Mm-hmm.
Like, states it's not a protected class.
Well, yeah.
So that is a novel argument. I haven't read the complaint. I know I saw someone say, maybe it's just me, but aren't they supposed to actually cite some laws? So it sounds to me like it's heavy on argument and thin on actual legal basis for this. So, it'll persuade the district court judge to at least say, okay, well, we're just gonna pause. We just need to turn the temperature down, so we're just gonna pause everything for now. I do want to point out, though, in 2024, Minnesota voted presidential election 50.92% for Kamala Harris, 46.68% for Donald Trump.
And then a couple of third party.
Of course. Yeah. So the point being, 40+% of the state voted Republican and voted for President Trump.
Yeah.
So that obviously it's the outlying areas. It's not the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, of course. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's got to be tons of Minnesotans who are like, "What the heck?" Now, I know a bunch who are very, very upset about what happened last week.
Oh, sure.
Understandably. I mean, it really hit close to home, and there's an understandable resentment and pushback attitude about the federal government because they feel like they are being heavy-handed.
Well, and at some point, I think we probably need to say, okay, let's give them that there might be an emotional legitimacy to that argument.
Yeah.
Now, you can go back and say, well, we wouldn't have to be doing this if you weren't a sanctuary state, if you weren't sanctuary cities, if you weren't protecting criminals, you won't help our law enforcement. We have to protect, so you can go down the line to have that fleshing it all out. But it is hard to watch guys in camo, in masks and semi-autos or automatic weapons fighting with other Americans physically. I mean,
we saw that in Ferguson.
Yeah.
It is upsetting. It is.
It is.
You don't want to see that happen to your state, to your neighborhoods. You don't want to see that kind of conflict.
We think that is something that only happens in Eastern Europe and happens in Africa and happens in South America. It happens here now. And I don't like that any more than they do. And you say, we don't want this to happen. Like one of the arguments that Keith Ellison made was Minneapolis or Twin Cities police. They've had to respond to X number of responses where people are calling in saying masked men just grabbed somebody and threw them into an unmarked van. And it's costing all this money. And say that's one of the arguments they're making. It's cost millions of dollars because police are responding to these calls.
Who are being placed by people not... Yeah. Okay. I mean,
I'm just saying what the argument is.
I know. It's so disingenuous. And this is an untenable situation. And here's the bottom line. I think I've spoken of it before. I really, really enjoy the America This Week podcast with Walter Kern and Matt Taibbi.
Right.
And they've got a Monday show that's a live show, and they were talking about the situation. And and Walter's from Minnesota, so he's got some added insight here. The point is, when you've got state versus federal coming to a head, the precedent tells you what's going to be the ultimate outcome here. The federal government is going to win this battle. The question is it going to get to the point where you're, talking about basically Civil War type stuff? Or is there going to be our cooler heads going to prevail and leadership going to get together and say, okay, look, how do we work this out? Because if the federal government doesn't win this battle, then we don't have a country. So for all of the showmanship of Tim Walz and Jacob Fry and Keith Ellison and all their tough talk,
Ilhan Omar,
well, I'm not even counting her. They're doing a grave disservice to their citizens and to the citizens of the U.S. And it's, you stand up for what you believe in, but don't do it in a way that's leading your citizens into conflict with law enforcement.
Now, Scooter says that he's of the opinion that a lot of the Minnesotans, the reason why they're pushing back so hard against ICE and against President Trump is because they feel that they are unfairly being targeted for being a blue state, but also aren't blue states where the sanctuary cities that literally are hoarding the people, the illegal aliens.
Well, that's part of the argument that Keith Ellison, just made, saying, this is over political differences. But yeah, I mean, Minnesota is a declared sanctuary state. Minneapolis is a declared sanctuary city. If you're a fisherman and you catch a lot of fish in one spot, do you move from that spot? You go where the targets are with law enforcement here. Now, is Donald Trump above doing policy to do, revenge on his political opponents?
No,
he's not above that.
Not necessarily.
And I'm not even completely saying that Scooter and Keith Ellison are completely wrong. But I think it would be more like what you heard from Kristi Noem yesterday and what you've heard to say, oh, you think you're going to kick us out? Watch this. Here come the reinforcements.
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of that try me FAFO type stuff right now.
Definitely that. But and if that were the reason, why Minnesota? Tim Walz is not a political threat. Okay. Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, maybe Josh Shapiro, if you're talking about like presidential contenders and that sort of thing, they might be. So if this was just about politics, you think Donald Trump needs to concern himself with Mr. Jazz Hands? No, this isn't about that. This is about a state that has declared itself a sanctuary state. It's drawn a lot of attention because of the fraud, because of the heavy immigrant community, and because of the sanctuary city policies. And now this is escalating. And the leadership there is doing, like I said, they're doing a grave disservice to their citizens by saying, we're going to stand up, blah, 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 blah. That's not the way you're going to actually, maybe you're distracting from the focus on you because of the fraud.
Yeah. Yes.
but you're not helping your citizens.
Yeah, and every time Jacob Fry, and Tim Walz get up there and argue, stand with us, don't, like what J.B. Pritzker has done. The result has been that's a green light to the fringe parts of the left who go in wanting violence.
Yes. Yeah. It's an open invitation to them.
Yeah.
I kind of have to wonder now, too. I mean, how many of the people that are showing up to this protest are reliant on tax services? Because, I mean, if I found out in Missouri that we are being defrauded the same way they were, that's cause for protest in the government, not interfering with ICE agents that often catch people with long rap sheets of criminal histories.
Now you're just being logical.
I'm just too much common sense.
Too much common sense,
This
and not
is
enough
politics.
hatred. Not enough hatred for Donald Trump and Republicans.
That's right.
Sorry. Hey, for many, our phones are the center of our worlds. That's not really a good thing. No. Okay. So imagine what your phone could do for you in 10 years. We'll talk about that coming up next at 7:20.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark it is no more. And all at once depart. No destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now.
In the morning
Everybody wants me to dance. Could you imagine FDR dancing?
on News Talk STL.
Before you blow us all away.
Columbo and Company.
The state of Minnesota is suing the Trump administration to remove federal immigration officials from its cities. We'll fill you in on Tuesday. Plus, Crane Durham and Susie Moore.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Okay, let me follow up with a couple comments here, and then I want to get to this phone thing, because what happened is one of the phone companies did a survey of their customers, thousands of customers, and they said, what do you want your phone to be able to do in 10 years?
Oh.
Yeah. So if you've got some thoughts, what do you want your phone to be able to do? Let me know.
Question.
It is. And some of the answers were interesting. But let's see here. Vicky on Rumble says, every politician in Minnesota that is being looked into are the ones screaming. And she goes on to say, well, this is Soros' plan to cause all of this, shipping people in to cause this, destroy the country from the inside. He did it to other countries. And we do know a lot of those protesters are shipped in. They're not natives, just like we saw in Ferguson.
True.
Back in the day. And some of them have admitted to that, in moments they're like, don't you have a job? I'm getting paid to do that. We've seen that's happened. Corporeal Being, talking about the legal arguments that Keith Ellison's making. He says, I hope they try to make that argument in court. It would be a Pyrrhic victory for them at best. He's using air quotes, win in their side would move us into a great position on the political chessboard. Possibly.
I
don't know how to predict that. Maybe. But I see what he's saying.
Well, and the issue, though, is that these are people, the protesters and the people that are pushing back right now are not interested in being factually correct or intellectually honest. They don't want to be reasoned with. I don't think, even with all the court, if the court case even came back from a Democratic judge saying you guys are wrong, they would still find a way to twist that about Donald Trump twisting the arm to get his way. So I don't think that we can recognize it might be a political win, but I think this is going to incite more of this kind of behavior.
Yeah.
I think we're in for a rough 2026.
Yes.
I mean, I just really do. And you would, here's the prevailing with, there are a lot of people who are just jaded in this industry and they really want all kinds of chaos because it's the equivalent of clickbait.
Right. It's like catnip.
I don't want to see that happen. We're going to talk about it and report on it when it happens. And I think it's going to, but there's a difference between wanting it to happen because it benefits me on the air versus this is tragic, but we're going to talk about it.
Same with Red State.
Yep. Okay, so this is interesting. Samsung polled 2,000 people, I think they're customers, asking them, what do you want your phone to be able to do for you in 2036, 10 years from right now? To say the words 2036, that sounds so sci-fi at our age.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so, I mean, think about, like, with my phone, there's more, this is not hyperbole. There's more computer power and technology in what I'm holding in my hand right now than there was on any of the individual Apollo missions.
Yes.
I mean, that's just.
Yeah. That's the reality.
That's the reality of it. So what does your phone do right now that you never dreamed it could do for you? I mean, that's where we are now. And then we get into what do you want it to do in 10 years?
That I never, we're talking about like before phones were a thing or once we
got imagine your first cell phone. You remember the flip phone?
Oh, yeah.
And then, if you wanted to text, each number had 3 letters and you had to just, and that sort of thing.
Well, so when first cell phones, texting wasn't even a thing.
Right.
Pagers were a thing, but the texting wasn't. And then you could do it with the number by number sort of thing. Like from a smartphone, once smartphones became a thing, like obviously GPS is critical. Most people have forgotten how to read an actual map. I don't know. The calendaring.
Yeah.
I use mine obviously quite a bit for work. I don't use it as all that much to talk on it.
That's what's funny is that's true. I will go days without an actual audible conversation on my phone.
Yeah.
But I'm communicating with people constantly.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty normal.
Right.
So they asked this, and here are the, there's some of the top answers.
Okay.
One of them, which is really weird, says they want their phones to anticipate my thoughts and auto-insert them without me having to type. In other words, you could literally text or email your friends essentially straight from your brain.
I don't like that.
First
of all, it already does that because if you've noticed, there's that time where now there's the times when you're saying something and then you see it come up on your phone. We've all experienced that. But there's the times where you're thinking about saying something and suddenly it's there and you're like, okay, that's a little weird.
It's very weird. It's one thing to start typing a sentence and it anticipates the next couple words, and then that is AI. Just your patterns.
Correct.
And you may say, man, that's impossible. They can't read your mind. Well, 10 years from now, I don't know where we're going to be.
I don't know, but that's like the height of laziness. You're too lazy to type, and you can't even hit the microphone and say, hey, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Come on.
So another one, which I thought was interesting because I think we kind of do this now. The number 5 answer was take control of my finances and monthly bill paying. But we have auto pay right now. You can do that right now. So I would think there's something out there that lets you auto set up on your phone. I saw an ad for one of the financial credit agencies that they have an app now that will monitor all of your subscriptions and help you cancel.
Yes.
And then other ones, monitor so I think you could do that kind of. I don't think we need to wait 10 years.
You can. You still kind of have to set that up, and it's going to be different for different bills and different expenses. It sounds almost like that person wants to not even think about their money whatsoever, which is Not a good
detected.
idea.
Oh, I see you have an account with the gas company. We'll set it up to your bank account. Just do it
That's-
all for you.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Now, there is a financial service that I found out about through a channel that I watch where it's kind of like that. You set up your budget, and then depending on your spending, it'll automatically adjust how much is available on your card to spend, and then
Okay.
it'll cap you at that. I don't know if that's exactly what they're saying, but there are services like that out there.
That probably would roll into it. I would think.
But I imagine that they probably mean you just put your information into your phone and then you walk around and it'll automatically
Right.
attribute to your savings account, your auto pays, how much you can spend on the card, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we're already pretty much close to that already.
Here's another one: 3D holograms, phones that project holograms so you can have 3D meetings or FaceTimes, or one person said manipulate objects in 3D. I don't know what that means, but that's almost like the Jetsons or Star Trek.
Star Trek
Yeah.
is what that makes me think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that they want to see that. I mean, we have holograms now. I mean, I think it would be
Well,
possible.
Why not just have them be transponders?
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
Star Trek kind of predicted a few things.
All right.
I mean, so basically, you and I could FaceTime, and then we could set the phones down, and it's like we're looking at each other with holograms.
I don't know. That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
I've seen technology, like prototype technology like that. Scooter mentioned a interesting idea is a phone that would be able to self-charge. I'm thinking maybe if there was like a battery pack where you could just leave it plugged in and then your phone would let it know, hey, we're getting too low on battery, and then, hey, we're full, stop charging. That would be a really cool idea.
That was the number one answer.
Oh.
It is actually
Good thinking, Scooter.
Yeah, it said last an entire week on a single charge, or charge without needing to like so something either solar or movement or static, but that was actually the number one answer. Was the charging.
Nuclear powered phones would be cool.
Talk about small reactors.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you put your phone in your back pocket long enough, you're going to grow a tail, but whatever.
Hey, some people might want that.
Help the T-Rex run fast.
Well, they can kind of hang out with the monkeys then.
That's right, maybe. Yeah, that's right. But no, that was actually the number. What he said was actually the number one answer.
Okay.
Let's see. Corporeal Being said that he would just like a phone that takes better care of his personal privacy and data.
Okay, so here's the trade-off on that.
Yeah.
All these cool things we're talking about and the things they're doing right now, the trade-off is that you have given up your privacy to do this. Why is all this stuff free? Because they're selling the data about you.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the trade-off. The more cool stuff it does, the more we have to trade off, because
You are the
almost
commodity.
nobody's going to want to pay for this, so somebody pays for it. Ain't no such thing as a free lunch.
Oh, yeah.
And so understand
The hell
that-
you say.
That's right. Understand you're the product. When you want the cool stuff, you're the product.
Well, then also the national security aspect of that, because we've enabled, stuff like the Patriot
Mhm.
Act and the NSA, and they say, well, it's in everybody's best interest if we know what your GPS is doing and who you're messaging. And I'm sure there's subsidies and incentives for the companies to implement those sorts of privacy violations.
I know what I want my phone to be able to do.
What's that?
Fold my laundry and put it away.
Have the hologram come to life, and
Yeah.
there you go. Now, here's another one. The number 2 answer, which I thought was interesting, was real-time language translation. So you could talk to somebody who speaks a different language in real time and have the conversation and have them do it like you talk into the phone, and what they hear is translated into their language in real time.
I think that technology is already close to being here.
I was going to say, I thought Google already did.
There was an ad, or I saw with people using that.
Yeah, you speak in one language, you
Yeah.
hit translate, and then
Yep.
there's an automated voice that comes out and.
Yeah, but they're talking just real time.
Oh.
You talk to somebody who speaks
But
Dutch.
that's what he's talking about.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
So quite literally, it's almost like it's like a delayed phone call almost. So you have this Google Translate,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know if it's Google exclusive, but
right.
You talk into it, and you have the translate option or whatever the voice is. When you're done talking, it translates that and it speaks for you in their native language.
Yeah, see, what they want to take this one step further, and it's in real time. So you say it, and instead of them hearing your voice, they hear the translation like as you're speaking it. So it's close. Because I mean, I've used an app before. I was trying to talk to a guy. There was a complete language barrier, and so he just spoke into his phone, and it listed what he said, or it just printed what he said in English. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I was able to take his phone and speak it, in English, and then it translated into his language. And so we have the basis. I have a feeling that could probably be a reality in far less than 10 years.
Yeah, easily.
But keep in mind the trade-off. The trade-off is you're being tracked in the database, and the AI and all of that is building. That is the trade-off.
It's
in all this.
true, but I think that horse is already out of the barn.
Oh, totally. Totally. Yeah.
Now, your Your phone does a lot right now, maybe too much, but still, there's already a wish list of people of what people want from the phones. Oh, we just
I copied and pasted the wrong one there. So,
well, in that
Mike's
case,
new to this.
You know, it does not invade on your privacy. It's a
No.
News Talk STL app. It's free to download.
That's
It
right.
does not spy on you. It will also not, unfortunately, fold your laundry for you. But it's a great way to keep in touch with all of your favorite local content here on NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
My opinion is it's weird.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking an increase in cloud cover as the day continues on. Temperatures back towards the lower 60s this afternoon, looking pretty warm. Then towards evening hours, we're going to be looking at the possibility of a few light scattered showers. That could turn into some flurries into Wednesday. Mostly cloudy. Temperatures will continue to drop. We're talking afternoon highs into Wednesday afternoon, back towards the mid-30s. Continue to fall off. We'll look cooler as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Friday could see some light chances of flurries. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
The Vic Borselli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege to have U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt.
Hey, I have to tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you this. In the 90s, what would this have been? Mid-90s.
Yeah.
And I was I worked at Grant's Farm and I had a couple other jobs. In the afternoon, I would often hear and listen to Borselli's Deli on the radio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making me feel older than I already feel. That's just great.
Vic Borselli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit Vincent'sJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
So another day of protest against ICE. Leftists claiming our government is out of control. ICE agents are the Gestapo. Those protesters in the streets insisting we stand to protect others, the weak ones. ICE is inhuman. ICE is kidnapping, killing those they arrest. A lot of that is not anywhere near the truth. Recently I said those protesters are not as brave as they try to act. And if they really cared about human rights, they would be standing with the people of Iran. They are truly being kidnapped, raped, tortured, executed. Why? Because they want freedom. But you don't find these pansies daring to go to Iran and join those who are truly suffering. Well, now British author J.K. Rowling is also calling them out. The Harry Potter author says, if you claim to support human rights, but you can't bring yourself to show solidarity for those fighting for their liberty in Iran, you revealed yourself. You do not give a damn about people being oppressed and brutalized. She nailed it. No, these in our nation are silent, pansies, cowards.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
You know, there's a certain way we do things around here, the Grasser way.
The Grasser way?
We don't cut corners and we don't take shortcuts. Not on the little stuff and and not on the big stuff.
We do the big stuff.
That's right. Whole home generators that kick on the moment the grid gives up. Lights stay on, heat stays on, your family stays safe, so your house stays warm.
And your ice cream stays frozen.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke. News Talk STL. Until it's not. News, analysis, opinion.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
All right, how's the legislature going to react to the governor's State of the State address in Missouri, obviously?
Well, we don't know.
We're about to find out.
Yeah.
And what the heck is happening with the taxes, the tax collections in St. Charles County? Have you heard about this?
A little bit.
What a mess.
I haven't been able to dial in on it, but it sounds like there's like a total mess.
It's a mess. Now, it sounds like maybe they're trying to piece it back together, or maybe they have, but it caused a lot of problems that are kind of reverberating. So we're going to get into that here in just a moment. We're joined by State Representative Tricia Byrnes. And Tricia, great to have you back on here. Let me start with your work in the legislature here. Then I want to get to the St. Charles County thing here. But the governor gives a State of the State address. You know, we talked to him, we talked to him last week, and he's making it very clear: tax reform, priority number one, not the only priority, but that is the big one. What do you hope that he's going to call for, and what do you hope that the legislature is going to be able to do to work with him to make changes when it comes to taxes in Missouri?
Most importantly, I hope he puts an end to just talk and make sure that all of the leaders across the Capitol work together and get this done this session. Too many people are hurting right now, and there is a way that we can do this tax reform that allows us to honor the services that we have and keep them in place and grows our economy too.
Tricia, one of the big, I guess the counter, it's not even a counter argument to this, but one of the accompanying arguments to this conversation is, okay, if we do away with income tax in Missouri, how do we make sure that we are continuing the revenue stream? And, what are there spending cuts that can be implemented? What would you like to see done?
Well, when they talked about the income tax, it really is a very detailed conversation. And if I just, highlight over a little bit, it will cause some panic. So what the thoughts are is to go to a completely a tax of consumable goods, right? Mm-hmm. And the instant panic of that is, oh my gosh, we already pay X, Y, Z for groceries and products and whatnot. But I sat and spent a lot of time with Representative Darren Chappell, and I went over all of the points that I just made that I think people will really freak out on. But one of the things that it looked at is if we spread it across, you have people that really aren't paying into our taxes now through income tax. And when they buy goods, that really spreads the pool. And like I said, we spent a lot of time talking about it, and it made great sense. Once we went through the numbers, we almost kind of had to draw it out to see it visually. So I think people need to really engage before panic. I have a meeting February 12th at Honky Tonk in Main Street. We're going to talk about taxes as a state and some of the tax reform issues. We're also going to look at this senior tax freeze that we have going on in St. Charles, which really just catapulted the chaos that we had. Now, our current collector, Michelle McBride, definitely did not help by drawing a line in the sand against seniors. But we really need to come together, and our residents in our county need to understand that we have abilities to fix these taxes. And I hope they come out and hear it. And we're going to put on the ballot the full senior tax freeze. And I hope that we go to do a full property tax freeze for everyone in St. Charles County, because we're one of the most overtaxed counties in the state, because every possibility to put the brakes on those taxes spiking there's loopholes specific to St. Charles County that have caused sticker shock twice in the last 10 years.
Yeah, see, a lot of people, Tricia, assume that the senior tax freeze is already in place in St. Charles County. So you just mentioned possibly some holes. And I know the current collector, I know she opposed the legislation. She actually spoke out against it. But regardless of what's available in the law, what is the status right now? Then let's talk about how to fix kind of the debacle that happened.
So right now, what was put out there was a senior tax credit. And with all the taxing jurisdictions, that just launched that into just a problem. My guess is that has to be why a software company could not get it together for 2 years. Now, if I was there, I would know exactly the problem and I'd be able to communicate with my constituents. That's not the case with the current collector. But let's talk about the bulk of this problem. So when this bill was passed, SB 190, there was two options. So the county could put together the plan, or it could go to a ballot. So what we're going to learn in this meeting from people who talk to our leaders in St. Charles County is they very much knew there could be a tax freeze, and they intentionally chose not to. This is per Dennis Ganal. Dr. Ganal helped create the property tax freeze, and he's with Missouri Tax Relief now. He's going to be at that meeting I'm talking about. So you have this credit that was put in place. But the other option was it could go to the ballot. And just because St. Charles County put this tax, what you say, maybe a credit in place, it doesn't eliminate our ability to go out and put it on the ballot. So we did some more hard crunching of the numbers, and it's about 12,000 signatures, and we can get that on the August ballot for the full freeze. What my point is, it's like moving a mountain in the legislature. You guys know that. You've been around. So that is already out there. Let's seal that win while we continue to go for other wins for the rest of our residents.
Yeah, Tricia, that dovetails with what I was going to follow up on because, you know, the focus has been on a senior property tax freeze, and obviously there seems to be some issues with implementing that. But why not push to roll back and perhaps do away with property taxes for all Missourians?
Well, and then we really get into an issue when we say all Missourians, because I'll tell you what, there's some really great Republicans that will say that in front of the camera, but they will freak out in the hallway and say, listen, you don't understand. If you take away our property tax, if you take away our personal property tax, we don't have stores in our district. You know, maybe they have a Dollar General. So what I would rather see, what you saw in the tax reform, if you followed along with me, we have a state bureaucrat office that oversees and tries to make it uniform across the state. Here's the deal. I represent St. Charles County, right? And I think St. Charles County has the opportunity to really do some tax reform for our residents. If the out-of-state rural areas can't do that, let them decide. Let them have local control. As long as we try to create this uniform rooftop and personal property across the state, I think we're going to keep running into brick walls. We have to allow some freedom for these counties that have the ability to put some real reform in place for their counties, while others can model their best interest for them and not impact St. Charles County, right?
We're visiting with Tricia Byrnes, State Representative Tricia Byrnes. She's also running for St. Charles County collector here. So if you're elected, if you're the new county collector, and I don't know that I've ever seen a county collector's race draw this much attention because it's such an administrative role. Ideally, they're just simply collecting and running the programs and getting it done. And if you don't like the taxes, then go talk to the people who set the tax rates. But if you're elected to this, what changes and what fixes and why does that matter to so many people?
Why it matters is you can see the governor and everyone in this Capitol, regardless of party, knows that tax reform is a topic that is highest priority for this state. So what alerted me, I never planned on running for a county collector. I planned on running again for state representative, but the timing of the election is at the exact same time. I put a lot of thought into it. But we have a tax collector who has been unopposed since 2007, has never run a race, flew under the radar, and came to the Capitol and called for a halt to property tax reform, called the senior tax freeze jackass legislation. You think I'm making that up?
Nope.
It is permanently recorded, right? She actually even said the goofy words, everybody's bills are going up, but we must render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and Caesar cannot live on Caesar salad. And this was all scripted out on video. And so we're like, okay, somebody has to run against her, because even though this isn't a policy-making position, we can't have somebody directly opposing us, telling people that we are lying about legislation and not supporting tax reform. It really should be, since it's an elected position, it should be the voice of the taxpayer. You should stand up and say, wait a minute, halt. I just admitted that there's school system failures. There should have been a deadline extension. And so some of this, back to this nonsense, right? It's, well, sorry, I dropped all these postcards or bills in the mail by the 1st of December. Therefore, I'm not changing this regardless of the complete system failures. But you had person after person. You could see people commenting on the county Facebook page, commenting on my page, saying that their mortgage lenders, you know, who they have their escrow, right, that they didn't get the bills. You have people who were saying, hold up, you sent the bills to my house. I was the former property owner. That homeowner didn't get the bill. So how can you even claim 100% perfection that those bills went out? That should have absolutely said, hey, we have a red flag. Let's extend this to January 30th, and let's figure out how to get this resolved. I have seniors still reaching out to me because nobody will stand up in St. Charles County except a couple of our county councilmen, and they can't seem to get anything done. But one gal is so upset because she still doesn't have her property tax receipt for her personal property, and she's freaking out because she can't renew her plates.
Oh man, yeah, that's the real world effect of all of this. All right, Tricia, you mentioned the Facebook page, website. People want to see your campaign or get in touch or have questions. What's the best way to do it?
You can absolutely call me at 314-397-4037. It's my personal cell. Don't leave a voicemail, but call or text. And come see us at Main Street Honky Tonk February 12th. I'm going to have the architects of some of this tax reform be there to answer questions and get this full senior property tax on the ballot so we don't have any more of this nonsense and chaos we had at the end of the year.
Okay, State Representative Tricia Byrnes, shoot me a text when we get closer to that, and I'll make sure that I mention here on the air and remind people as well.
Thank you so much for letting me get my message out.
You got it. We'll talk to you again soon, Tricia. Thanks so much.
Hey, we got a big event coming up, the Freedom 13 Support Our Troops Gala. It's NewsTalk. Join Freedom 13 and NewsTalkSTL in honoring our heroes. The Salute Our Troops Gala night takes place on Friday, February 27th at the Foundry Arts Center in St. Charles from 6 to 11 p.m. The Freedom 13 organization was created to not only remember and honor Jared Schmitz and his 12 fellow American heroes, but every American hero that made the ultimate sacrifice. Their mission is a simple one: help our veterans and police officers and their families. So go to NewsTalkSTL.com for all the details and to purchase tickets.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
When they say it like that, you know they mean business.
On NewsTalk STL.
Some people start their day with coffee. A lot of us start our day wondering, why did my mattress do me like that? If that's you, Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield can help. Right now, save up to $900 on Stearns and Foster adjustable sets and up to $700 on Beauty Rest Black during our year-end event. Just walk in, no appointment needed. We'll run a quick sleep assessment and match you to a system built for real deep rest. If you want to feel human in the morning again, come say yes to better sleep. Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield. Sleep restored, life renewed.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention Newstalk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. When severe weather hits, scammers often follow. They may pose as charities, jack up prices on essentials, or offer fraudulent home repairs. I'm committed to protecting Missourians from those scams. If you've been targeted or suspect price gouging, report it to our office at 800-392-8222 or online at ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Hey, this is Carl Higbee, host of Frontline on Newsmax TV at 5 p.m. Eastern, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, abortion's back in the court in Missouri.
Yes.
All right. I wanted to make sure that everybody understands what's at stake here, because there are the most fervent activists on both the pro-life side and the pro-abortion side that are getting it wrong intentionally or unintentionally. Okay.
Hard to say.
Yeah. But if you hear somebody say that abortion is on trial in Jackson County, that's not true.
Right.
So when Missouri voters made the tragic mistake of passing the Constitutional Amendment 2024, it basically legalized abortion and the predatory, mutilation and promotion of gender dysphoria for kids. I mean, it was just a blanket left-winger's dream.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's on trial right now is that Missouri lawmakers and the Attorney General and others are trying to say, but it's still a medical setting, and therefore we have the right to put in some basic restrictions.
Right.
We have basic health standards, safety standards. Planned Parenthood and some of the others are saying, no, you don't. And that's what's on trial.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happening. It's not a matter of whether abortion is legal or not, regardless of the outcome. Abortion is going to remain, unfortunately, legal in Missouri, at least until we have a chance to pass the new and the good Amendment 3 this year.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's like a vicious and a very dark ping pong match, because we went from, abortion was legal, but with some restrictions, to basically was pretty much not legal except for the most extreme situations, to now it's kind of legal however you want, whenever you want, however, with no restrictions. And I don't think the vast majority of Missourians are in either place there. And so we're basically swinging wildly from one end to the other instead of actually focusing on the important thing here.
And when you just mentioned with no restrictions, now that's the literal truth if you look at the letter of how this was written in the Constitutional Amendment, as in literally anything that is considered a hindrance or a restriction or a barrier is according to the letter of the law, as the proponent said, would be illegal, which means there's no age restriction, no parental consent required. I mean, we're talking basic things. And
even what about like health requirements, like like doctor's privileges or the certifications of the facilities or anything like that? I don't know the status of that.
Well, and Planned Parenthood is arguing those things are unconstitutional according to this new amendment.
Yeah, what if abortion is just a medical procedure, it's not the taking of a life, it's just the remove, it's like, whatever, then why isn't it treated like any other medical procedure?
That's the thing, is with that constitutional amendment that was passed, and a lot of people did not know what they were voting for. They just like, well, I'm to the left of center on the issue, therefore.
Right.
And that constituted by the letter, when you look it up for yourself if you don't believe me, it doesn't even require that a licensed physician is the one performing the abortion.
Yeah.
So they would argue that you could train anybody, maybe a nurse practitioner, maybe whoever, to do a physical. Now, most abortions are done via chemical. They're the pill abortions. Those are most of those abortions at this point. But there are the actual
DNC procedures,
dismemberment.
right?
Yeah, the actual dismemberment abortions that are happening in St. Louis right now, that are happening in Kansas City right now, that I think are happening in Columbia right now, and I think are happening in Springfield. I don't know about Cape Girardeau, but we know that they're happening in the state right now. And so the the plaintiffs in the state, Planned Parenthood are the plaintiffs. They're the ones fighting state regulations, so they're the plaintiffs. They're the ones arguing, saying you have absolutely no right whatsoever to impose anything. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't just stay with abortion. That constitutional amendment also lumped in the gender dysphoria. Lumped in
so-called gender-affirming care.
Right, which is strangely enough the opposite of affirming gender, and affirming sex. And so, under this interpretation that they want, parents would not have the right to demand to be told if a school district is essentially grooming a kid for this sort of deviant mindset. And a kid who wants to start taking hormones or something, that nothing can hinder that. Or a girl goes to their school counselor and says, I'm pregnant, my parents are going to be so mad. Okay, we're going to take you into Planned Parenthood, don't worry about it. That would be legal under the way that Planned Parenthood wants this constitutional amendment interpreted, which essentially is what it says. It didn't say no restrictions for adults. It didn't say no restrictions for those who aren't minors. It said no restrictions whatsoever.
And the thing that really concerns me as well, I pulled up the actual wording of this. So under Section 5, it says no person shall be penalized, regarding pursuing abortion, but then it goes on to say, nor shall any person assisting a person in exercising the reproductive freedom with the person's consent be penalized, prosecuted, or otherwise subject to adverse actions, regardless of the outcome or any sort of adverse.
Right.
So if you assist somebody and you're not qualified to, you assist somebody in terminating a pregnancy, and then something bad happens to the mother,
and you kill them,
you're not going to be penalized under the current past wording.
And there's no reference to age. So the child has their trafficker, their abuser, take them in to whatever clinic, and the girl gets hurt, the girl dies. Under the state constitution, you can't even sue that person.
That person's not.
Now, if you take that same girl into the mall and they get their ears pierced and get a bad ear infection, you can sue them. But not if they get hurt or killed with an underage abortion.
Well, and that's what I was saying. Like, why is this treated specially and differently if you're saying it's really the same thing?
Because it's a sacrament of the left. It is an almost quasi-religious sacrament of the fringe left.
Yeah.
And the result is people are dying, and not just the babies.
No. This needs to be straightened out.
Yep.
Now, friends at Reach take over a very high-profile project in the state. Levi joins us at 8:05 to tell us about that and how easy it is for you to support pro-life work here in the Metro.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
With a My Social Security account, you can request a replacement Social Security card, estimate your benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
News, analysis, and opinion.
We've been on the ground in Minnesota conducting criminal investigations to a lot of these suspected fraud sites.
You don't come outside of operational hours and then say they're using taxpayer money. That's completely false.
You obviously can't believe a word that comes out of his mouth.
When they shut down the government, they did that because they wanted us to continue business as usual. Money going out the door.
This ICE is on the ground there trying to restore some sanity.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Joining the Twin Cities, the state of Minnesota taking the Trump administration to court.
Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison and the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul are jointly suing the Trump administration over the influx of federal immigration agents taking over the Twin Cities. The lawsuit seeks to stop the unprecedented surge of more than 2,000 federal agents deployed by the Department of Homeland Security that has resulted in the killing of a 37-year-old mother and countless claims of civil rights abuses since the Department of Homeland Security forces began taking hold in Minnesota last year. Bill Alexander, Washington.
And the White House maintains video makes it clear the death of the anti-ICE motorist was an act of self-defense on the part of the officer who fired the shots. Democrat Senator Mark Kelly is suing the Pentagon.
The lawsuit comes a week after Defense Secretary Hegseth censured Kelly over his participation in a video that called on troops to resist unlawful orders. Kelly claims the Trump administration is trampling on his constitutional rights to free speech. The Pentagon's action could result in a demotion from Kelly's retired rank of captain and subsequent reduction in retirement pay. The suit asks the court to rule that the censure letter and any other punishments against the senator are unlawful and unconstitutional. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The investigation of Fed Chair Powell, the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says that is a Justice Department matter.
The president has every right to criticize the Fed chair. He has a First Amendment right, just like all of you do. And one thing for sure, the president's made it quite clear, is Jerome Powell is bad at his job. As for whether or not Jerome Powell is a criminal, that's an answer the Department of Justice is going to have to find out.
The government says consumer prices rose just 0.3% in December from the prior month. It was the same increase that we saw in November. On Wall Street, ahead of the opening bell, Dow futures down 65. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-909-4747. 800-909-4747. 800-909-4747.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking an increase in cloud cover as the day continues on. Temperature is back towards the lower 60s this afternoon, looking pretty warm. Then towards the evening hours, we're going to be looking at the possibility of a few light scattered showers that could turn into some flurries into Wednesday. Mostly cloudy. Temperatures will continue to drop. We're talking afternoon highs into Wednesday afternoon, back towards the mid-30s. Continue to fall off. We'll look cooler as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Friday could see some light chances of flurries. The first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm not like the rest of you. I don't make mistakes.
Susie Moore.
What you're telling me doesn't sound logical, my dear.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
You need to get to go. I need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, we brag a lot about the life-saving work Reach does here in the metro area.
Oh, yeah.
For good reason. For good reason. So now you can support that and the pro-life cause literally everywhere you go, provided you're in your own car.
Wow.
You
really?
can do that. Yeah, Reach sent out an email yesterday, and it was kind of a breaking news thing. This was really cool. You've seen those Choose Life license plates.
Oh, yeah.
All over the area. A lot of states have them. Missouri has them as well. Well, I guess the oversight of that is going to be handed over to Reach. And so that's not just an administrative thing. This is kind of a big deal. And we're now joined by Levi Hart from Reach. And Levi, this was kind of exciting. I got the email last night and yesterday evening. And what's happening here is, for, I guess the technical way to put it is that Reach is now overseeing the Choose Life license plates in Missouri. And a lot of people might say, well, wait a minute, what does that mean? Doesn't the Department of Revenue just hand out license plates and you can buy a certain one? But this is actually a program that you're going to be involved in administering.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. We're incredibly blessed. Kevin Roach, the founder of Choose Life of Missouri, reached out to us, and he was ready to hand over the reins, and the board was ready as well. And he saw everything that God's been doing through Reach, so he got a hold of us and said, hey, is this something you want to do? And yeah, so for something like this, there are organizations that are behind each one of those specialized license plates. And they work in partnership with the Department of Revenue. So we work in partnership now with the Department of Revenue to have these Choose Life of Missouri license plates. And what's beautiful is not only are you able to drive with these license plates that show people the Choose Life. I mean, you're a walking billboard in that way. But in doing so, you are also supporting life, because a portion of the funds that go towards those plates will actually go towards seeing parents empowered and babies saved through Reach Reproductive Health.
Yeah, and that was the follow-up question because it's one thing to make your statement, and there's a massive value in that, especially when people see Choose Life all over the state with as many as. That's one thing. That's the cultural influence. But what you're talking about is now with Reach overseeing this, when you get one of those plates, it's going to fund some of your pregnancy life-affirming work. So we're actually talking about what the medical center that you're actually designating, saying what comes from this is going to go specifically to what?
Yes, that's a great question. So our goal is to bring in those who are seeking abortions. So we want to get those that are seeking abortions because they're abortion vulnerable, abortion minded. Many people just think abortion is just another form of birth control, because whenever we get them into our center, we give them medical care that they need, true reproductive health care, and then empower them to choose life for their baby through offering them resources. And that's everything from financial, vocational, educational to parenting classes. I mean, diapers for a whole year. And then we plug them back in with the local church. So not only are you driving with these plates down the highway, which it may think like, really, do people look at those plates? Yes. Could you imagine a pregnant woman or a boyfriend whose girlfriend just got pregnant? He's driving along, they're in this crisis, and then they're behind your car, and boom, Choose Life right there. And not only that, think of that. And then next thing you know, they're in our center. and they're choosing life. So it can really come full circle, and we're waiting for the first story to come out like that.
Okay, so is this effective already, or is this in process as far as the administration of it?
This is effective. We've been chomping at the bit to announce it to everybody, but we really wanted to get all of our ducks in a row before making it public. But as of right now, well, actually, I mean, as of a few months ago, Reach has been running it. But now we are putting it public because everything's in place so we can operate smoothly. So if you go to chooselifeofmissouri.org right now, there's a button right up there up top. And when you sign up for a plate, we are going to be the ones operating everything, making it happen.
Okay, and when it comes to how do we do it? You just mentioned click on there. So a lot of people, if you got to go renew your tags, can you do that, at the revenue office or anything like that and say, I want this kind of plate, or do they need to go through that website?
Yeah, just go to that website, chooselifeofmissouri.org. That's going to be the easiest way to do it, as opposed to having to go in person and jump through various hoops, because if you go through our website, that link is just going to take you to the paperwork you need, et cetera, and answer any questions. There's a great FAQ on there. So chooselifeofmissouri.org, and there's a button right up top to either sign up for the plate or to renew your plate.
Okay, we're visiting with Levi Hart from our friends at Reach Reproductive Health. And so the big question is going to be, we want to support it, but people have to get their tags. How much is this going to cost over and above what you just have to pay normally to get your tags renewed?
Yeah, so for the yearly, it's $50 a year. That's it. So $50 a year, and then I think there's a 3-year option as well that will either get a little bit cheaper, or you're just paying it ahead of time so you don't have to renew every year.
Right. Okay, and then a portion of that then goes to you, or is that the $50 that gets donated? And when we're talking about Choose Life Missouri, this is something that people could get across the state. Is this all going to be designated for Reach in particular?
Well, what we plan to do in the future is, for now, as we get it up and running, it's going to help us be able to pay for the administration side of it. Mm-hmm. But in the future, what we would like to do is be able to give grants to other pregnancy centers throughout the state.
Good. Yeah, good. That is a phenomenal long-term approach, so people understand this. So somebody in St. Joseph or Kansas City or something, they say, well, I want to Choose Life, but is it going to help us save lives in our community? So eventually that is going to happen, the more of these that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, them just simply having that plate in their community will support their local pregnancy center, because ideally it's going to drive people to their pregnancy center. But our goal is in 3 years to be writing grants regularly to pregnancy centers throughout the state.
Okay, so give me an update on the Reach's work here. I mean, I've been to multiple events, and obviously you and I don't know how many conversations you and I have had over the last year and a half or so. How are things looking in the locations that are up and running now? Because I think the last time you were on the program here with us, is the hope was to beef things up to basically have more hours available and more people available, for walk-ins and for people in those crisis situations. Where are the operations right now here in the metro?
That is a great question, Mike. So by God's grace, we surpassed our budget by over $200,000 this year. Wow. So what that's done is it's helped us to form a budget for 2026 or for last year rather, and it's helped us to form a budget for 2026 that is projecting, larger than this previous year. And so we're immediately hiring to have our St. Peter Center up and running full time, our North County Center operating full time, and to beef up our mobile medical center staffing hours when the mobile medical center is out in the city outside Planned Parenthood. And then so full time on all of them. So yeah, we're going to be able to get it completely rolling. And then by the end of 26, we hope to, again, be in a similar position as this year, where we're surpassing budget and we can start projecting to build a brick and mortar center in the city.
Yeah, big focus on the city, because there's such a vacuum right there right now with what's happened over the last couple of years. So, I mean, I got to think that's just a crucial target for life-saving work.
Oh, big time. I mean, so right now we supplement with the mobile medical center out there, because it's essentially a micro version of one of our brick and mortar centers, so it works. And and a lot of people from the city were able to drive to our clinic in Bridgeton. But yeah, to get a center in the city is absolutely paramount. So if there's a listener right now and you have, roughly $1 million that you'd like to invest and just make it happen tomorrow, we can make this thing happen.
Well, and also there are going to be some of that's going to qualify for that 70% tax credit in Missouri as it is.
Oh, Mike, you're such a good interviewer. Yes, absolutely. And that is huge to everybody listening. Any gift you give over $100 it qualifies for a 70% Missouri state tax credit. So that's literally, you give $100, $70 is wiped off your state taxes. So your gift is essentially $30, but actually less because the remaining $30 is still federally and state deductible. And that's all the way up to, you can claim $50,000 of that a year. And Mike, actually right now, and maybe another time we get on and talk about this, we're trying to beef up our $50 a month club. So essentially our recurring gifts. So we have about 50 recurring donors right now, which is amazing for just being operating for a year. But what we would love to see is that get up to 250. So News Talk listeners, if you want to be a recurring donor to reach reproductive health, outreachforlife.org, we need you.
Yeah, that's what I do. It's just automatic,
Yeah.
It comes out there. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and you just mentioned the website, but let's differentiate those websites for the work that you're doing here with Reach, and then obviously those license plates again so people know where to go, because we're, another week or so, every January plate that's going to be renewed, people are looking at that right now.
Yes, exactly. So if you're looking to renew, you want to get a Choose Life license plate on your car right now, go to chooselifeofmissouri.org. That's chooselifeofmissouri.org.
All right, and then just to connect with you directly at Reach, the website is what?
Yeah, so our Reach website directly is outreachforlife.org. That's outreachforlife.org.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon, Levi. Thanks so much for the update.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys over there, Mike.
You got it. All right, 314-912-1019 is such an easy way to do it. And by the way, that monthly recurring, that's what I do with Reach. And you can do it for basically any amount whatsoever. And it's really easy because I'll get a note that says, hey, thank you. And they send you a receipt, email automated receipt. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I donated.
Yeah, sometimes the simplest actions can lead to the greatest outcomes.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one way to do it, and that's what I would encourage you. Because, by the way, this is non-political. This is literally the medical and the emotional and the support. I mean, just that's what it is. You're basically donating to that ministry that's saving lives. All right, just ahead, the big story. I forgot to ask Levi this. So I guess they're in North County, not North City. But I wanted to make sure that they hadn't seen any vervet monkeys running around. So we do have the monkey update for you at 8:20 in the news dump. All right, it's going to be easier to turn your home, to transform it into a safe and a stylish retreat. It's going to be easier to do that and more affordable than you can possibly imagine. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at STL Fenceworks. It is stlfenceworks.com. And let me tell you what they do really, really, really well is they build fences. They also build decks really well. But it's not just that they know how to put this slat and nail it to that slat or screw it to that slat. Here's the deal, is that they use materials that are not just your typical wood. And here's the thing. A lot of times if you just find your cousin or your brother who knows how to do that stuff, they're going to go get wood from the Home Depot store, they're going to get it from Menards or wherever, and they're going to build it, and then you immediately have to stain it, and then you got to treat it every year. Well, how about something you can build, put in place, and then not worry about it because the materials withstand the elements and you never have to worry about it. That's the saving. You've also got the quality of an American-owned company that uses American-produced materials. So give them a call today. You can call them at 636-669-1608, or the easiest thing to do is just look at stlfenceworks.com and get your free estimate. Once again, stlfenceworks.com.
42% of Missouri fourth graders can barely read. 42%. It's the worst result in 20 years. If kids can't read by third grade, they fall behind in school, and many never catch up. But other states have provided a roadmap for success. Missouri needs one universal reading test for all third graders and one clear statewide standard for what it means to pass that test. A struggling reader who still can't read after extra help and a second chance at the test should repeat third grade with some exemptions. We also need to end the outdated 3Qing method, which encourages guessing instead of reading, and require teachers to be trained in the science of reading. In Mississippi and Indiana, test scores jumped up dramatically after these reforms, and Missouri can do the same. Missouri children deserve to become confident, capable readers, and strong early literacy reforms can make it happen. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by the Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
I'm Congressman Bob Onder, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
All right, Minnesota officials are fighting back against the enforcement of immigration laws.
So they're fighting back against a law.
Right. They are fighting for illegality.
That's such a weird hill to fight on.
I mean, basically, they have taken the fight, which has turned into a physical fight. They have taken the side of the people attacking law enforcement.
So instead of being mad that they were allowed to be defrauded by their government, they are fighting against law enforcement that are trying to get rid of some of the people that were defrauding them.
That's 100. That's exactly it. Also, the question over abortion is back in a Missouri courtroom, which is a whole different thing than what we just talked to Levi about. And we have, as promised, your daily St. Louis monkey update.
Yes.
We are Team Monkey around here.
Yes.
All right, 8:20 right now. Let's do another news dump.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, Department of Homeland Security doubling down. They say they are going to deploy more agents to Minneapolis as people come out to violently protest federal immigration enforcement operations and, frankly, make it a point to, in a premeditated way, disrupt and impede federal law enforcement. And this, of course, is ramped up after the shooting death of Renee Nicole Good. On Fox's The Ingram Angle, Texas Congressman Chip Roy, he says President Trump should invoke the Insurrection Act.
Under the Supremacy Clause, they certainly have the right. The Immigration Clause in the Constitution, they certainly can go do that.
Okay, and the state of Minnesota, in addition to the Twin Cities, we're talking Minneapolis and St. Paul, they are actually suing the federal government to stop any ICE and Homeland Security activity related to federal law enforcement.
The lawsuit was filed in federal court in response to the Trump administration's surging of more than 2,000 immigration officers into Minnesota. The suit also asks for a temporary restraining order to halt the enforcement action or limit the operation. It alleges that the ICE operation violates federal law because it's arbitrary and capricious, since it says other states aren't seeing similar crackdowns. State officials say the federal government is really targeting Minnesota over politics. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Except other states have had targeted crackdowns, and one of the arguments in this lawsuit is that there is tangible harm being done to Minnesotans, and one of the arguments that Attorney General Keith Ellison has argued in Minnesota is that, well, our law enforcement keeps getting called out to these cases of people being thrown into unmarked vans. Basically, people are calling local police because illegals or suspected illegals are being arrested.
So you're calling law enforcement on the law enforcement?
Yes.
That is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure if you twist what's actually happening, you can justify whatever fear that you have going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have seen videos as well of people are bringing their newborn babies out, and they're trying to still interfere with ICE, still provoke them, but now I have a child with me. How dare you, try to hold us accountable? This is absolute insanity.
It really is. All right. In other news, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly suing the U.S. Department of War/Defense. He says the agency is threatening to cut his pay that was earned from him being a naval officer by reducing his rank, because that's what they're trying to do post-retirement. It all stems from that video that he was a part of, along with some other Democrats, calling on military service members to refuse President Trump's orders if they think they are illegal.
And for context, he didn't say any specific order that was given was illegal. It was one of those wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This might feel illegal. sort of calls.
Yeah, so Senator Kelly spoke out about his lawsuit against the department and Secretary Pete Hegseth on the Senate floor.
Pete Hegseth is now coming after what I earned through my 25 years of military service in violation of my rights as an American and as a retired veteran and as a United States Senator whose job it is to hold this and any administration accountable.
Okay, in Senator Kelly's 25 years in the service, he was a U.S. Navy combat and test pilot. He retired from there, and then he flew 4 NASA shuttle missions before retiring in 2011, obviously prior to his being elected to the U.S. Senate.
And the code of conduct for service members extends past their discharge from service. So, I mean, if you're that concerned about it, why would you behave in a way that could potentially risk your rank?
And so, as Susie said a little bit earlier, the discovery in this is going to be fascinating. And so the whole mix of all of that, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, he is going to argue First Amendment. And so all of that could come to a head in one trial. It's going to be a very precedent-setting one. It's not just about Mark Kelly and Pete Hegseth. It's probably going to end up being about something much bigger than that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, a trial over Missouri lawmakers' right to enact restrictions and health standards for abortion clinics is now underway. That started in Jackson County on Monday. Planned Parenthood is among the plaintiffs, and they are arguing that Missouri's new constitutional amendment that was passed in 2024 prohibits basically any standards or restrictions on abortion whatsoever, period, full stop, end of statement.
Yeah.
And you may say, oh, you mean for those 18 and over. No. Any restrictions whatsoever. Trial is expected to last 2 weeks. It will certainly be appealed no matter what the ruling is. And so this is going to probably drag on for a little while.
Yeah, it's a very disgusting language that was allowed to be passed, and the fact that there's so much pushback to correct some of the things that were wrong. Because I actually have a sample ballot from that year, and the language on what the ballot said versus what the actual amendment says are 2 different languages.
Right. Yeah, and there was just a lot of lying about the ballot measure. I mean, there really was. Because, I mean, we've all, I think, and you in particular have mentioned, you've run into people who said, well, but the law said this, and you showed them the law said no, and then they went, wait, that's not what I thought when I voted.
So I went around to some of the women that I know as well, and I read them. I had the printout highlighted. Here is the actual wording of it. They were all ready to vote no. They go into the ballot. They see the summary on the ballot, and then they were like, well, that's not as bad as I thought it was. Voted yes, gets passed. And I brought it back up to them. Like, well, I didn't know it meant you couldn't hold people accountable that might botch an abortion or bring somebody that's a minor that they were abusing to go get an abortion as long as the minor consented. There's so many loopholes to this, and it's egregious.
What was passed literally is that extreme and that radical and that death-oriented. It really is that bad.
And I put the image of it up on the stream for those watching the stream, so you can see we're not exaggerating.
No. All right, Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe delivering his State of the State address this afternoon. That is scheduled for 3 p.m. Okay, another court case that's happening today. The U.S. Supreme Court is going to hear arguments on state bans on gender-confused athletes. So boys who want to live as girls, pretending to be girls, competing against girls and women in sports. 2 states, West Virginia and Idaho, have passed laws saying, no, we're going to stick to reality on this.
Good.
And that's what's being challenged, and that's what's made its way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. West Virginia Attorney General John McCuskey spoke with reporters saying defending these laws is important, defending these laws put into place by West Virginia and Idaho lawmakers.
The reason that we are here is because Idaho and West Virginia passed common sense laws that delineates the athletic playing fields in our states between the sexes, right? And so West Virginia's law makes sure that every single woman and girl in West Virginia has a safe and fair playing field in order for them to earn and learn all of the amazing skills that come from competitive team athletics.
Okay, so I really do think the momentum culturally is on the right side of this. We'll see what the Supreme Court does, and it will be much later in the year before we get a ruling on this.
The fact that it's spread this far and got this far to begin with, though, is just absolutely ludicrous. And I guess that makes sense why they target this ideology at children that don't know any better, because nobody with a rational mind is going to say, hey, you know, you're suddenly a girl because you put a dress on, or you're suddenly a boy because you put on
or don't you feel this way? You know what? Maybe you'd be more comfortable. That's happening.
Yeah.
We know it's happening.
And I was an athlete, and female athletes are pretty tough people, but at a certain point, they're not competing the same way.
It's just biology as the reality takes over. Okay, the Vervant monkeys still roaming free in the metro area. Team Monkey.
Yes.
Team Monkey. All right. Be free. Okay. Justin Hauser from the city's health department has this caution if you do happen to see one or more of the monkeys.
The information that we've been given from our partner agencies is that the monkeys are very intelligent, but they can be unpredictable. And for individuals that these monkeys are not known to, we just don't want them to come in contact with each other because of that unpredictable nature.
Okay, so if you see one, then what they're saying is just call animal control or call the health department. The reality is if and eventually when they capture these, hopefully the monkeys haven't succumbed to the cold and they're okay, or to a coyote or whatever. But if they do find them, what's probably going to happen is they're going to end up going on display at the St. Louis Zoo. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. Now, an interesting side effect of the monkey case, though, is I've been watching a lot of the memes that people are posting,
which are great.
And it's interesting. You get to see all these different landmarks and these different businesses I had no idea even existed. So it's actually helping us learn more about our communities in some ways.
Okay, he is arguably America's most popular financial advice guru, and he has a warning.
And it's not about the economy or debt or investments. No, Dave Ramsey is very concerned about gambling. The longtime Christian radio host and author said on a recent show that sports wagering is, quote, the most addictive thing I've ever seen. The number of people calling our financial counselors and telling them that their entire lives have been destroyed by gambling is unbelievable. It's the fastest growing addiction in America. Michael Harrington reporting.
I don't gamble or bet on sports, but I know a whole lot of people who are really excited about that becoming legal in Missouri. It's been legal in Illinois for a while.
Yeah, and the behind the scenes of a lot of this is that it's really being targeted at college athletes and young, athletes getting into that age that are not already good with money to begin with. So we need to very much keep an eye on these types of people.
Yeah, I think Ramsey's probably right about that. Okay, Blues are back at home for the NHL's early game tonight. Yeah, you can bet on it if you want. They are hosting the Hurricanes at Enterprise Center. Puck drops at 6:30. So this is the early game because it's one of the nationally televised games tonight. It's going to be on ESPN+.
Turn the key and every light turned green. Like Steve McQueen, I made the motor scream and it was loud.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Republicans aren't perfect, but the other side's crazy.
On NewsTalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking an increase in cloud cover as the day continues on. Temperatures back towards the lower 60s this afternoon, looking pretty warm. Then towards evening hours, we're going to be looking at the possibility of a few light scattered showers. That could turn into some flurries into Wednesday. Mostly cloudy. Temperatures will continue to drop. We're talking afternoon highs into Wednesday afternoon, back towards the mid-30s. Continue to fall off. We'll look cooler as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Friday could see some light chances of flurries. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scott.
Fox News commentary with Guy Benson next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Here's Guy Benson.
Yes, this was avoidable. Yes, this was an unnecessary death. Not because of the specifics of whether the shoot was clean or overkill or what have you, but because they shouldn't have been harassing ICE officials in the first place. In fact, local and state officials should be helping federal law enforcement to remove illegal immigrants, especially criminal illegal immigrants, from Minneapolis and from the state of Minnesota. These sanctuary policies are a disgrace. The words being used by these sanctuary politicians for political reasons are a disgrace. They have fed into this atmosphere of hate and, yes, vigilante violence against law enforcement now for months.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Producer Joey V from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here, reminding you don't waste a buck on movies that suck. Tune in to Joey V's Movies, Fridays at 5:45 for reviews you can trust. Brought to you by Harry J. Steakhouse and Ami's Pizza.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
Since 2003, Wounded Warrior Project has helped post 9/11 veterans adjust back to civilian life. Through specialized programs, they begin healing their bodies and minds while regaining a sense of camaraderie. Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/possible.
News, analysis, opinion.
What the president is doing is pretty much forcing them both to the table.
Ukraine has negotiated in good faith.
Can we get the killing stopped? 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Interesting point was just brought up on one of the social media platforms regarding the monkeys, because we're having a lot of fun with this. I think it's supposed to be real cold again this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know where vervet monkeys are native to. I don't know what part of the world they are most, where they are natural inhabitants.
I have never seen the monkey exhibit and the penguin exhibit at the same place.
No, exactly. So it's going to be cold. So at some point you are rooting for them to find the monkeys, because I don't want them to freeze to death, if that's not what they're acclimated, to. But if you do see them, obviously stay away. But please keep the videos and the memes coming. I saw the one I sent you and Susie yesterday where the monkeys were playing hockey at Enterprise Center.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
If you're cold, they're cold.
That's
Let them in. No, don't do that.
Don't do that. Okay, so a little bit ago, we just kind of for fun, we're talking about the Samsung phone survey. They surveyed like 2,000 customers. And you think about it, it's kind of a smart survey. What do you want our products to do over the next, say, 10 years?
Yeah.
Well, that's just smart business.
Smart R&D.
Right. Okay, what's the customer base want? Let's try to meet that. And it was interesting, the answers that people were sending in. Now, some of them you would absolutely predict it. Like the number one thing was, I want a phone that I don't have to charge constantly.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I need to probably plug my phone in here real quick. Yeah, I'm down to. Okay, so I'm going to do it. But that was the number one answer, is come up with a way for your phone to stay charged all week, or something that constantly recharges through whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had others that wanted, technological advances. One of the most popular answers was, FaceTiming's great, which is funny because do you realize how amazing that technology is to do? I mean, that used to just 15 years ago, 10 years ago, you would need a satellite truck to do that.
Wow.
Because that's what you would do on newscasts and things like that. And then, last 10 years or so, you've had that technology, but FaceTiming that we take for granted, you realize what an amazing advancement that is. So they're saying, well, let's take it to the next level. Let's do a hologram. Like you could set your phone down and then have a hologram of whoever you're talking to pop up, and you could like sit there and like talk to them in 3D, which I thought, I don't know that that's necessary, but it could be fun.
Yeah, that's one where I don't really see much more of a benefit than just doing regular FaceTime.
Yeah, unless you're like demonstrating something. Okay, take this and put it, that kind of, I don't know. But, it's like the Jetsons.
Like Star Wars.
Like
right?
Star
You're
Wars.
my only hope,
yeah, Star
right?
Wars did it. Yeah, exactly. From R2-D2. So there's that. That's what they wanted. And then there were some other interesting ones that I don't know that people were thinking of the trade-offs, or maybe we're just to the point we don't care what the trade-off is.
Mm-hmm.
There was some that said, I want something that just automatically handles my finances and my bills. And it sounded to me like what they were saying is just take the AI thing, sense when I've got a bill, or I just put the bill and you just take care of it and pay it. And I want something to go in my investments. I just don't want to think about managing my own money. Just let my phone do it.
Like an AI financial advisor. Almost.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Or at least like a comptroller
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And there are apps that you can do, like for instance, the, not to give out free advertising or anything, but it's called the Every Dollar app that there's a free version of. If you want something to help with your budgeting, it's one of the best things I've ever seen. And the Ramsey folks do that, but they offer a version that's free. Now, there's a version you can pay for, but there's a version just like, here's my monthly budget. Here's what I want to spend on this, that, and the other. And as long as you put in when you buy something, it's really helpful to track, so there are things out there that you can use, but they're talking about we want the phone to do it for us. So basically what people are saying is, I want to get lazier.
That really seems like where we're at with a lot of things. It's like, sure, this is more convenient, but how much more convenient can we make it? And I know people, for example, in relationships where it's like the husband's at work and, wants some money for some lunch or something like that, or the wife's doing something out and about and she needs some money, and that's kind of how they send, instead of giving a physical amount of money to. I can imagine that can get kind of tricky, though, if some stranger gets your information, they start requesting money from you, or you get these fraudulent charges, and then your phone's automatically trying to pay them.
Right, exactly. Well, and there are, like, for instance, there are some apps right now. I keep seeing an ad right now on one of the apps I've got. They do ads to fund it, and it's for a service that will track your subscriptions, and as part of a credit monitoring service. So they're supposed to try to catch that, but you've got to actively be part of that. And then another one is that people wanted it to basically anticipate what you want to say or write, basically read your mind and type it out and send it through text or email. So basically you don't even have to write it or text it itself. It just read your mind, and that creeps me out. On Rumble, Draxion, I hope I said that right, Draxion, thank you. By the way, welcome. I don't think I recognize that handle. Welcome. Says, that sounds like giving up responsibility. Yeah, it does. That's the trade-off. I'm talking about the trade-off is the giving up the personal responsibility for it, but that also requires that you give up a crap ton of your own privacy and autonomy. We are basically a self-surveillance state now. I get mad at the government for overstepping and surveilling us, but we're a voluntary self-surveillance state as it is right now.
Yeah, I remember when it broke that Facebook was, harvesting data and selling it without people's permission, and everybody was outraged, and they made these posts, I do not consent to this, but nobody ever stopped using the service.
Well, no, and I'm telling you, everything you're doing right now on your phone or your laptop, that's being sold.
Yeah.
I've said it before. I'm not the only one. I'm not the first one who said it, but I've said it before. I'll say it again. You are the product. I've got all these apps on my phone. I don't think I've paid for. I've got a weather app. I've got a maps app. I've got one game that I like. You'll be shocked to know that it's a baseball game. I've got a number of these things on there. I've got a Word thing so I can type notes and whatnot. I've got all these apps and they're all free. Okay, well, why are they free? Well, some of them came with the phone, and that was what I bought when I bought the phone. But the others are services that sell me to the advertisers.
Yes, your habits, what you enjoy, what you don't like, what you engage with. And I think that the other consequence of that is that it also makes it a lot easier to be monitored by government agencies that we're mad at. I mean, I've seen people where they're like, I want my privacy, 4th Amendment, 5th Amendment, but you post publicly on your non-private profile everything you're thinking that day. It's like, well, really, how much privacy do you really want at that point?
Okay, Draxion, and again, I hope I'm saying that right, said, I had Alexa for a while, a beta user. Okay, so he was really early on, or she, I don't know. Had it for about a year, then Alexa started asking me questions out of nowhere about a movie I watched. Okay, that's creepy as hell.
Oh, I've seen that in person. My mom had one. She got it as a gift. She plugged it in, did the basic setup, forgot about it, and then I came over, and she's like, I think this thing's spying on me because it randomly just talks to me.
Well, I've told the stories before, and the quickest one, Rachel and I were at one point literally just talking about music.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to make the offhand comment, here's a band I haven't heard in a while. And I mentioned the band. It was Dokken. And literally, I went upstairs into my office and started working, and I clicked on YouTube, and you know what they were suggesting videos for me? Docket from the 80s.
I'm telling you,
Then there's no, you're not going to tell me that what we're saying, because my phone's sitting right next to me. You're not going to tell me that what I'm saying right now is not going into some database, into some marketing thing. Somebody's buying it, and I'm going to get email, Amazon, YouTube. I'm going to get some kind of advertising for it. That's just building the AI to market stuff to us.
Oh, absolutely. Now, corporeal being, I think me and him think very much alike. The top three things he would like is an option for open source software, a replaceable battery, and micro SD slot. And I think that that's a lot of what and my side of things, people I associate with. It's actually, we don't want all these crazy futuristic things. We just want to be able to go back to when technology, you had control of your technology.
Yeah, because they're kind of getting away from SD.
Yeah, SD. I mean, you have to buy the
slots and cards now.
Yeah, you have to buy the default model with the set amount of storage. You know, the batteries. If some of these I've actually seen where they make it so you're more likely to damage your phone trying to upgrade your battery than you are to, if something goes wrong with the battery. And I do think a lot of people miss being able to have that customization to say, I know enough about technology. I want to be able to, upgrade or change out or, use this phone for one thing and have a different phone for something. And I think a lot of that's being stripped away for the crazy holographic sort of
and then there were others that just made a lot of sense. People were talking about like translating and things like that, as far as talking in real time. And actually somebody mentioned, I forgot who it was, and I apologize, when we were talking about one of the top 2 or 3 answers was, I would love to be able to talk to somebody who speaks a different language in real time and have the automated translation. And whoever it was, and again, I apologize, I forgot who it was, said, oh, no, there's that technology now. You just have to put an earpiece in.
Yes.
And so there's something along that line now. So it seems like that would not be a big leap to put it into a smartphone if it's not available already. And there may be an app now that does it as it is. Who knows?
Now, one app you should have for your smartphone is a NewsTalkSTL app. It's free, does not spy on you. It's not going to talk to you like Alexa. It's not going to do anything crazy, except it allows you to use your phone as a radio. Kind of futuristic if you think about it. And it allows us to come with you wherever you are, and you can listen to all of your favorite News Talk programming. So go to your favorite app store, download the free News Talk STL app, and bring us with you on the go.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
My husband, Alex Hussey, was hit by an IED in Afghanistan.
I was point man in foot patrol, and I stopped on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
Seeing Alex learning how to snow ski, that's life-changing.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex did it. He skied down this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no limits.
To see him on that slope and smiling like that, we'll be taking this home.
This has meant so much. Thank you, DAV.
Alex Hussey, thank you for your service. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Colombo and Company.
The state of Minnesota is suing the Trump administration to remove federal immigration officials from its cities. We'll fill you in on Tuesday. Plus, Crane Durham and Susie Moore.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey folks,
folks. Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3-Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Boy, we really spurred on quite the discussion here of that phones, because everybody, and there's the thing is that there's what we know, and it's exciting in one thing because of the technology, and I don't want to discount all the great stuff that's available. There's also the scary because of the bad way it can be abused and tracking us and all that kind of stuff. And then there's also the unknown, and we don't even know what we don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, the duality of things in a lot of ways is, on the one hand, it is cool to see what we're able to actually come up with as a species and how we can innovate and how we can progress ourselves. But on the other hand, I don't think a lot of people expected it to be this intrusive, and then to some degree even us to become this reliant on the technology.
Well, and voluntarily so. I mean, the idea that, I've even heard people say, "Oh, well, they're all listening anyway. They're all tracking away. Who cares?" And there was a movie that took this to the kind of a futuristic movie that took this to kind of what it argued was the logical conclusion, where people basically voluntarily handed over control of their lives in order for safety. And I cannot remember the name of the movie.
Sounds like the book Brave New World.
Maybe, but like, for instance, something tragic happened that upset people. Well, get in line, take this pill, you'll forget about it. And people had given up their privacy so much that, everything was, glass walls and windows, even the bathroom, because if you had nothing to hide, there was no need to worry. You could be watched all the time. And I don't remember the name of the movie. It's kind of an obscure movie. It was just interesting the way it was done. And then the protagonist, who were the villains to the system, were the, sort of ruffians who didn't want to participate in that, and they were being chased to get them back into the surveillance society. And I cannot for the life of me remember the name of that movie. But people had become so accustomed to having zero privacy that they never expected it, and they expected to be watched and surveilled.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know one that's kind of in that vein, where society becomes so reliant on technology that they just lose any ability to take care of themselves and the technology.
This might be the same movie.
Was it Idiocracy?
No.
Was it
no,
Wall-E?
No. What? Okay. It's funny you bring up Wall-E. I remember I think I've only seen Wall-E once or twice, but my kids were at that age that, Wall-E came out, and I think I had it on DVD or something like that. But I remember watching that, and within about 10 or 15 minutes, of course, the kids are just having fun because the cute robots and everything. Within the first 5 or 10 minutes, I'm like, this is sophisticated social commentary.
Yes.
It really is.
Everybody says Idiocracy's a documentary, but I believe Wall-E was a documentary.
Wall-E was, there's a lot of warning and comment. It's funny to say that because it's a Disney Pixar cartoon, but those first 5 or 10 minutes, that is a warning.
Yes.
And commentary. I know that sounds weird to say that, but I'm telling you, I'm sure you can find it anywhere streaming right now. Watch that first 5 or 10 minutes and see if you disagree with me on that.
Well, and that's why I would push back on your proposal that it was voluntary, because I think that at a certain generation it became involuntary. So for my generation, we were already learning how to, and it was expected of us to know how to use.
Yeah.
And so, you guys were the latchkey generation. You were feral. You were running around. But
we were.
By the time I got to be a kid, it was stranger danger. Don't talk to strangers. Here, sit in front of this computer. Sit in front of the TV. And then we were not really. I was never actually taught how to read a map. Mm-hmm. It was, you have a GPS in your phone. Figure it out. You have a calculator in your phone. So.
Okay, this is gonna sound really, really stupid.
Okay.
I refused to use the GPS on my first few phones that had it for years.
Oh.
So that. Because I was convinced that they were going to track where I was going, and there'd be some record of that. Even though I wasn't going anywhere nefarious, just on principle, I'm like, I'm not going to. Well, now I find out, because a former director of the Missouri Department of Transportation, Highway Department, I had a meeting with him for something else, and he told me that whether your phone's on or off, it is being tracked.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, he called it metadata, to where it's not tracking any individuals, it's just tracking the number of people. And so for a long time, I'm like, I'm not going to, it's none of their business if I'm going to the store, or something like that. But now I'm like, if they want to track it, they'll track it anyway.
And ironically, the old school GPSs that you physically had in your vehicle that were separate,
the Garmin ones.
Yeah, those actually connected straight to the satellites, and therefore it was not giving those satellites or anybody else all of your data. But these are connected to your phone. Your phones have unique identifiers. Yeah. So even if you turn your GPS off, it's still with you.
It does. You can turn your phone off.
Oh yeah, take the battery out.
You can, and it will still do that. Now here's how that goes into play. When you're driving on the highway and you see the sign that says, downtown, 8 minutes, Kings Highway, 6 minutes, or whatever, if you're going east or something, that's how they're doing that. They are tracking the movement of all the phones in the car, and they're watching the traffic patterns. That's also if all of a sudden all the traffic is going well, and then all of a sudden the lane turns red and everybody is stopped, that alerts them and they know there's a problem on the road. Either it's a wreck or something like that. That's how they do all that in real time, because if you put your maps on and you're going to drive to grandma's house, it will tell you estimated arrival time. And from my experience, it's creepy how you will pull up within a minute of that actual time.
Oh, yeah. And same thing when it says, like speed trap reported ahead. I found out from a couple officers I talked to that oftentimes they themselves are the ones marking that they're there, because you're more likely to slow down and drive safe if you're expecting it than them having to respond to that, or potentially somebody causing an accident for being reckless.
Right, which I actually appreciate those cops doing that.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to, I'm going to go, they're going to pull over people who are speeding. If you're going 80 and a 50, you're going to get pulled over. That's your own fault.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the ones who put that on there themselves because they want people to slow down, that's the point.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the point is to write tickets. The point is to get people to be safer. By the way, real quick here, just a few minutes left. The inflation report just was released just a little bit ago. There's actually some good news here.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm reading this. I just got a note from Bankrate. The headline CPI rose by 0.3 between November and December. Core CPI, which is like the most essential of the essentials, 0.2%. So that is on target with what people thought was going to happen. And according to Bankrate, after the surprisingly tame inflation report covering both October and November, this information, this data from, November and December, this, in their words, proves that we are finally seeing progress.
That's good.
Yeah. Yep. And so they're also trying to account for, you have the government shutdown and everything on there. So inflation happening a little bit, but it is being retained. It's being reined in just a bit. Now, remember, that's still added on to all of the inflation of earlier this year and last year and of the Biden years as well. So we haven't gone into negative inflation where things are getting less expensive other than like gasoline, which is major. But at least there is some good news on their getting that back into the healthy dynamics that they want.
Now, something I've seen, though, and I guess it wouldn't count as inflation, but it is a cost increase. It's the price of silver, and precious metals in general have been, much more rapidly than I think a lot of people anticipated, has been going up. And usually, historically, there have been times where once silver starts to rise as quickly, there is cause for concern regarding economic factors.
I think we're just, regardless of who's in charge, we're at some point we're overdue for some kind of correction.
Okay.
And there is a cycle. And by the way, every correction, every down cycle is not necessarily a bad thing. We reset from time to time.
Yeah.
So, whether or not we're just due for one or whether bad policy creates a problem that shouldn't be there, that all remains to be seen. But we've had so much instability over the past 5 years that at some point something has to give and there's going to be a reset. The market is going to reset regardless of what the government tries to do or not do.
Okay, because I have heard some economists saying that it's not that big of a deal because of the way the technology and manufacturing is going. It's just time to invest because a lot of companies are going to need that. But I've heard others saying that there are so many different bubbles going on. And so it might be time to start looking at different investment options.
Good. And talk to your financial people, because the good ones don't care who's in charge. They just read what the market's going to do or not do. If you don't have one, call my friend Eric Robert over at Stifel, and you can find his information on the website here. But if you do have one, anytime beginning of the year is a good time to say, okay, let's review the strategy and see what we want to do in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, something like that. So yeah, at least some good news right there. Don't forget, you can get all of these interviews we just had with Tricia Byrnes or Levi Hart on the News Talk STL podcast. Subscribe, if you will, to Mike Ferguson in the morning.